Hokage I can only draw S-rank rewards. Chapter 121-140. Chapter 121 _ the bliss box is here. Ghost Lantern City is gone. Only a click was heard, and the core of the word, Sasori, shattered. Sasori instantly lost control of all the puppets, and Fei Liu fell. Kakuzu was shocked to see this scene. After teaming up with Sasori for so long, he still understands Sasori's strength. I didn't expect Sasori to be solved by Lei Luo so easily. Kakuzu, it's your turn now. You were lucky to escape back then, but this time in a place like Ghost Lantern City, you have no chance to escape. Lei Luo said coldly. Kakuzu himself knew this too well, and knew that it was time to go all out. So Kakuzu directly released the resentment, burst out with all his strength, and countless black tentacles drilled out of his body. Don't underestimate the old man. As soon as he finished speaking, the four masks behind him continued to twist, and they continued to release ninjutsu to attack Lei Luo. Kaden, fire style. Head hard. Futon, wind style. Crushing. Sweeten, water style. Wild water wave. Quote. Raiden, thunder style. False darkness. Then the hands kept hand seal, and the main body also released ninjutsu to attack Lei Luo at the same time. Doden, earth style. Swamp of the underworld. In an instant, the foot of Lei Luo turned into a swamp, and Lei Luo flashed and jumped into the air. But at this time, the other four attribute ninjutsu also attacked Lei Luo, seeing that Lei Luo was unavoidable. Ding! Lei Luo instantly turned on the Central Asian hourglass and turned into a golden figure. Kakuzu's ninjutsu hit Lei Luo unscathed. After the golden body was lifted, Lei Luo came to Kakuzu along a trail of light. Kakuzu had no time to defend, and Lei Luo slashed through a mask, and his fire attribute heart died. Just in time for this guy Kakuzu to resist, let's try the ability of the newly acquired Renren fruit * Buddha form. Lei Luo is a man with a system. The two fruit abilities are integrated without the slightest conflict. As Lei Luo mobilized the power of the Renren fruit in his body, the whole person instantly entered the form of a big Buddha. The roof of the secret room was broken in an instant, and the entire secret room was exposed to the outside. What is that? Is it something from the bliss chest? The three men in black robes who escaped from the secret room looked at the sudden appearance of the big Buddha and were very surprised. In the secret room, Lei Luo, who turned into a big Buddha, smashed Kakuzu with a punch. Lei Luo, who has reached the peak of his size and strength, has great power with every punch and kick. Boom! With one punch, the entire Ghost Lantern City shook, and countless prisoners woke up from their sleep, but they didn't know what was going on outside. The entire prison was suddenly plunged into riots. As for Kakuzu, who was punched by Lei Luo, the remaining three masks also died under this punch. If Kakuzu himself used Doden, earth-style, ninjutsu to escape into the ground, he would have died in this punch. Down. However, Kakuzu, who had escaped into the ground, also endured the pressure from a lot of ground vibrations, and was almost buried alive in the ground. PFF'd. Kakuzu, who got out of the ground again, couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of blood, bruised all over his body, and he was already in a state of serious injuries. And Wu Wei, who had been hiding in the corner of the secret room, also endured the impact of Lei Luo's punch and was slightly injured. Lei Luo watched Kakuzu punch down again. Kakuzu was unable to resist, and was directly smashed into a ball of meat-chan. At this time, Wu Wei looked at the dead Kakuzu and knew that Lei Luo's next target must be himself. So Wu Wei fell into madness in an instant. Since staying here knew that he would die, he might as well give it a try, and once again hand seal opened the treasure chest of bliss. Then he plunged directly into the treasure chest of bliss and disappeared. Lei Luo looked at the dead Kakuzu and his own inaction in the bliss treasure chest, knowing that this time was over, and no one would stop him from obtaining the bliss treasure box. But I'm only here to investigate the situation. You guys forced me to do it. Lei Luo felt very helpless. This situation was not what he wanted to see. But since he has been exposed, he can't leave alive, otherwise it may bring a lot of trouble to Konoha and disrupt his stable life. Besides, none of the people who were exiled and detained in Ghost Lantern City deserved sympathy. Even if they were all wiped out, Lei Luo would not feel any guilt. Thinking of this, Lei Luo mobilized chakra again. Big Buddha form. Shock wave. Lei Luo punched the ground again, but this time the power was not comparable to the previous simple punches. With Lei Luo's punch, the entire island began to vibrate violently, and then began to shatter, slowly sinking into the sea. The ghost town is surrounded by the turbulent water Uzumaki, and all the prisoners who fall into the sea with the island must have no chance of survival. So, am I already that strong? Looking at the power of his punch, Lei Luo couldn't help being a little ecstatic. But he came back to his senses immediately, lifted the Bliss treasure box with one hand, summoned Tam, and threw the Bliss treasure box into Tam's stomach. Then Lei Luo lifted the form of the Big Buddha and stood on Tam's head. After watching the island where Ghost Lantern City was completely sinking into the deep sea, he turned around and walked into Tam's mouth. Disappeared with a Uzumaki in the sea. Not long after, the 5 major countries learned the news of the fall of Ghost Lantern City, which caused an uproar. The Land of Thunder, Kumogakure Village, Reikage Building. The 4th generation of Reikage heard the news of Kumogakure Anbu's report and fell into a shock. What did you say? The whole island where Ghost Lantern City is located has fallen, and you don't know who did it. He was about to send someone to investigate after hearing the news of the Bliss treasure chest, but he didn't expect to hear the news of the fall of Ghost Lantern City before they left. Although I don't know who it is, the only thing that deserves attention from the Ghost Lantern City is the treasure chest of Bliss. Now that the Ghost Lantern City has fallen, it seems that the enemy wants to destroy the traces and prevent exposure. Looks like there's something to this Bliss chest. So, the 3rd generation of Reikage said to Kumogakure Anbu in front of him, use the entire Anbu channel to find out who destroyed the ghost town. The most important thing is to check the whereabouts of the legendary treasure chest of Bliss. Also, the ruins of Ghost Lantern City will also be sent to check to see if there are any remaining clues. Kumogakure Anbu listened to the 3 generations of Reikage's orders, bowed his head respectfully and said, yes. Then he turned and left. And the country of earth, the country of wind, and the country of water all have similar responses and orders. Only Konoha village, the land of fire, sent people to investigate the situation, but Tsunade already had a vague answer in his heart. After all, she personally arranged Lei Luo's mission this time, but she knew that Lei Luo was going to Ghost Lantern City. For her, the most important thing now is to wait for Lei Luo to return to the village. Will it be you, Lei Luo-kun? Chapter 122 Planning to open a store. Lei Luo, who left Ghost Lantern City, returned to Konoha not long after. And after returning to the village, he immediately went to the Hokage office to report the situation of the mission. You mean you did see the Bliss treasure chest in Ghost Lantern City, but there is also a mysterious organization whose purpose is this treasure chest. Tsunade looked at Lei Luo and asked in surprise. That's right, and the people in that organization are very strong. The 2 people I saw were S-rank missing nin from other villages. Lei Luo nodded and said. S-class missing nin? Tsunade asked. Yes, one is the S-class missing ninkakuzu from Takian village, a ninja from the same era as Hokage-sama. Lei Luo replied, the other is the long-disappeared S-class missing Ninsasori from Sunagakure village. Of the red sand. Quote. Tsunade thought for a while and said, then do you know the origin of that organization? Lei Luo shook his head and said he didn't know. After all, the whole ninja world has changed so much because of him, and he doesn't know who Akatsuki is now. Tsunade looked at Lei Luo's performance, sighed and said, alas, then Anbu can only check it out. Then he asked, what about the treasure chest of Bliss? Lei Luo thought about it, and decided to hide the news of the treasure chest of Bliss. After all, it shouldn't be a good thing. If Konoha wants to study it, he may find something unexpected. After all, in the original book, Wu Wei's son Wugu became a powerful monster after he came out of the treasure chest. If a more powerful ninja entered in Konoha, wouldn't the monster born from it be even more powerful? Difficult to deal with. So Lei Luo replied, the treasure chest of bliss is relatively large, and there is no chance to get it out. It fell into the deep sea with the ghost lamp city. Tsunade nodded when he heard the words, as long as this treasure box does not fall into the hands of other forces. Then Tsunade said to Lei Luo, this mission is hard, you go back to rest first. Lei Luo listened to Tsunade's words, but did not turn around and leave, but asked, Master Tsunade, I want to open a shop, is there any suitable place in the village? Tsunade felt a little puzzled after listening to Lei Luo's words. Are you going to open a shop? What kind of shop? Lei Luo replied, Master Tsunade, didn't I go to the island of Oblivion on my last mission? I signed a lot of contracts with psychic beasts, but they are still weaker for me. So, I thought it might be better to take them out to increase the strength of the village. But this psychic beast can't be given for nothing, so it's still necessary to open a shop. And I'm not too young, shouldn't I make some money for the future marriage? Tsunade listened to Lei Luo's words, nodded, then turned around and took out a scroll from the bookshelf behind him. This is the current plan of our Konoha. The green signs above are places that no one uses yet. You can choose. Lei Luo spread out the map and looked at the planned commercial area in Konoha village. Now there are only 6 or 7 unoccupied places left, and most of them are relatively remote, but Lei Luo doesn't care. After all, those who can buy psychic beasts are also family members or some civilian ninjas with small savings, so they don't need many customers. Moreover, Lei Luo himself also opened a shop with some ticket-like nature, just to kill time. After all, he has fewer and fewer tasks now, so he has to find something to do. So Lei Luo randomly chose a larger area. Lei Luo has done many tasks for so many years, and he does not have much consumption, so he still has a lot of savings. Tsunade saw that Lei Luo had chosen the place, and then signed a warrant for Lei Luo to take him to the Ministry of Finance to pay the money. Lei Luo walked out of Hokage's office with Tsunade's warrant. After returning, Lei Luo and Rin talked about their plans to open a store. Rin was also very interested, and followed Lei Luo to see the selected store early the next morning. Lei Luo and Rin came to the store and found that this is a 2-story building with a large interior space, which exceeded Lei Luo's estimate. Lei Luo-kun, how are you going to decorate this store? Rin asked Lei Luo softly. Lei Luo smiled and replied, this store is so big, the first floor is enough for opening the store, and the second floor can be used as a bedroom. Lei Luo thought of the layout of the exhibition he had seen in his previous life, and said, on the first floor, I plan to make the exhibition hall a circular exhibition area. Circular exhibition area? Rin asked in confusion. Yes, the psychic beast shop is roughly divided into 5 or 6 parts. This is the information desk. At the door, I make a long desk, and leave a storage space at the back. Lei Luo walked to the door, extended inward, and planned the general layout with his hands. This location, with partitions separating several rooms, is used as a contract office and an office. Lei Luo walked to the east side against the wall. There were about 5 or 6 offices. The psychic beast shop didn't need too many office spaces. This area can be planned as an area for psychic animal supplies, as an area for various precious animal supplies, such as dog food, animal food pills, and even precious animal armor. The middle part is the area for psychic rentals. I want to classify them into 4 categories according to the types of psychics: attack, auxiliary, control, and comprehensive. Lei Luo pointed to the large area in the center. Like this one. Lei Luo hand seal summoned a monkey, and then took out a wooden sign. I named this monkey Spirit Monkey. Class: Attack. Name: Spirit Monkey. Annotation: 1. Strong physical attack ability and super fast speed. 2. Wei Chuan, Jonin level physical skills. Rin looked at the wooden sign that Lei Luo had just carved out with Kuwu, and his beautiful eyes were full of interest. Great idea. Then let's go to the construction team to do the construction now. Lei Luo nodded and followed Rin to the construction team. Konoha's construction team are also ninjas, so the efficiency of the office is not comparable to that of a decoration company in the previous life. And this kind of decoration is healthy and pollution-free, and there will never be any harmful substances such as formaldehyde. One day after recruiting the construction team, Lei Luo was informed that the project was completed. Lei Luo checked and checked, basically the same as his own plan, so he paid the final payment for the project with satisfaction. After that, go to Yamanaka's flower shop to get a batch of flowers to decorate, and then you can open for business. I now have my first property in the Hokage world. Chapter 123 _ The first encounter between Lu Duo and Sa Rip. Lei Luo's store didn't have any lively ribbon cutting like in the previous life, but just invited a few friends to have a meal together. It just so happened that Yuhi and Yugao didn't have a mission right now, so they also came to participate in the opening of Lei Luo's store. After walking around the entire store, Yuhi offered to ask Lei Luo to save her a room upstairs and she wanted to move in. After listening to Yuhi's words, Lei Luo was even more desperate, and let Yuhi choose a room that he liked. Moreover, Lei Luo and Rin brought Naruto out of the Senju family's clan. Since they already have their own place, there is no need to rely on others. Moreover, Tsunade is usually busy with government affairs, so Naruto still brings it out, and it is better for Rin to take care of it. Naruto is also a very lively character by nature. Looking at some small pets in the exhibition area of the store, his eyes glowed, and he liked it very much. A week passed quickly, and the shop also opened a few orders. Moreover, the people of the Inuzuka family even bought all the canine psychic beasts, ready to try to breed stronger canine psychic beasts. As for the clerk, Lei Luo didn't do much, just found 2 cleaning aunties and a few disabled ninjas who were responsible for signing the contract. Those ninjas used to sweat and shed blood for Konoha. Although they are disabled, they can still complete simple tasks. Recruiting them can be regarded as some kind of compassion from Lei Luo. And after so many days of opening, there has not been any bloody police department coming to find fault, and then Lei Luo pretended to slap the face again. Uchiha must know his identity and should have greeted the police department. On this day, Lei Lu sat bored behind the information desk, looking at the intimacy paradise that Jiraiya had just listed not long ago, and scrutinized it with a critical eye. The description of this passage is too simple. It is Jiraiya's fantasy at first glance. After reviewing it, Lei Luo dismissed the intimacy paradise, thinking about whether to write a book in the future and let Jiraiya read it. To see what is a literary man. For example, Ninja World is a thing in the pool, Ninja Baiji, and so on. While Lei Luo was in a trance, he suddenly heard someone calling him. When he came back to his senses and looked down, he saw 2 children, one big and one small, standing in front of the information desk, and Lei Luo recognized their identities at a glance. Isn't this Itachi and the second Jinchuriki column? I have to say that the second Jinchuriki column was quite cute when I was a child. Uchiha Sasuke watched Lei Luo scrutinize him, and hid behind Uchiha Itachi with some shyness and some fear. At this moment, Uchiha Itachi said, "Hello boss, I heard that you have some very magical psychic beasts here, can you introduce us?" Even though he belongs to the Uchiha family, Itachi is polite and not as arrogant as the other Uchihas. Lei Luo replied with a warm smile on his face, "Of course there is no problem, but what kind of psychic beast do you want?" Uchiha Itachi listened to Lei Luo's words, did not answer immediately, but turned his head and pulled Sasuke out from behind. "Sasuke, don't be so shy, come and tell the boss what kind of psychic beast you want. Did you agree shortly before you came? This is my present to you." Sasuke lowered his head and thought for a while, then replied, "I want someone stronger and faster." Lei Luo listened to Sasuke's words, screened the psychic beasts that still exist in the store, and said, according to your request, I have 4 options here, you can consider them. Saying that, Lei Luo brought Itachi and the others to the exhibition area. The first one is this, the giant eagle. Lei Luo picked up the psychic scroll and summoned the giant eagle baby with the hand seal in his hand, and then said, of course, he is still a young eagle now, but when he is an adult, he has it is 7 or 8 meters high, and can also use wind-type ninjutsu. Quote. Lei Luo finished speaking, he looked at Sasuke, but Sasuke shook his head and said he didn't like it. Lei Luo then took the 2 of them to the source of the second psychic beast exhibition. The second one, Spirit Monkey, is fast and small, but he is good at boxing, and his physical skills are comparable to Jonin. Sasuke still shook his head, I want someone who knows ninjutsu. Oh, Lei Luo nodded after listening to Sasuke's words, then there is no need to read the third one, just look at the fourth one. The fourth one is this wind-fire fox. It's fast, small in size, and can use both wind and fire ninjutsu. You should be satisfied with this. When Lei Luo just summoned Fenghuahu, Sasuke's eyes lit up, and he was even more impatient after hearing Lei Luo's introduction. Sasuke pulled Itachi's sleeve and said, brother, I want this. Itachi looked at the excited Sasuke, touched his head, and asked Lei Luo, boss, how much does it cost to buy this psychic beast? Lei Luo smiled and said, not much. For the sake of you all being children, I'll give you a discount for 3 million taels. Itachi listened to Lei Luo's words and nodded. Although he was young, he was already very mature. He knew that such a powerful psychic beast could never be bought for 3 million taels, and the boss did give them a discount. But Itachi couldn't carry so much money with him when he went out, so Itachi said, boss, I need to go back and get some money. You can help me keep this psychic beast, and we'll be back later. Lei Luo nodded and said, don't worry, I'll keep it for you. Lei Luo finished speaking, Sasuke couldn't wait to pull Itachi and run out. After all, he was still young, not as mature as Itachi. Children can't wait to see something they like. Uncle Lei Luo. At this moment, Naruto ran over from the door, calling Lei Luo's name. Then he collided directly with Sasuke, and the two hugged each other and fell into a rolling gourd. The most ingenious thing is that when the two stopped, they put their mouths together. Ba, ba. Naruto and Sasuke quickly separated and got up from the ground, spitting in their mouths. Lei Luo laughed unscrupulously at this scene, and Itachi couldn't help but smile. Under the guidance of Lei Luo and Rin, Naruto is not as fond of mischief as in the original book, he is still a very polite child, and he dares to act. Naruto, who was relieved, took the initiative to apologize to Sasuke. I'm sorry, my name is Uzumaki Naruto, I ran too fast just now and knocked you down. After listening to Naruto's words, Sasuke replied, it doesn't matter, I ran very fast just now, and my name is Uchiha Sasuke. Okay Sasuke, it's time for us to go back and get the money. Come over and talk later. Itachi said. Sasuke nodded, waved to Naruto, and followed Itachi out of the store. Chapter 124 The mission is finally here. The friendship of children comes so strangely and so quickly. A few days after Sasuke bought Fire Fox, he and Naruto became friends, and Naruto often gave Sasuke some pet supplies from the store. Lei Luo's eyes twitched when he saw it, and he really didn't feel sorry for him. On this day, Lei Luo and Rin were chatting in the store when Shizune, who had not seen him for a long time, came to the store. After all, Shizune, as Tsunade's assistant, was very busy every day, so he didn't have time to hang out at all. Lei Luo looked at Shizune who walked in the door and knew that Tsunade must be looking for him. Sure enough, when Shizune entered the store, he said straight to the point, Lei Luo-kun, Master Tsunade is looking for you. Lei Luo nodded, making Rin optimistic about the store, and followed Shizune to the Hokage building. Lord Tsunade, what do you want from me? Lei Luo also asked straightforwardly when he entered Hokage's office. Tsunade raised his head to look at Lei Luo, while reaching out and handing him a scroll. Look at this. Lei Luo reached out and took the scroll, unfolded it, and browsed it. It turned out that not long ago, Konoha Anbu discovered the news of the legendary ancient country of Roran in the Country of Wind. And Lei Luo instantly understood Tsunade's thoughts. Roran has a legendary dragon vein, which needs to be taken seriously no matter which country is concerned. Tsunade watched Lei Luo finish reading the scroll, and said directly, "You must have figured this out. This is the second time that the ancient kingdom of Roran has appeared. It is estimated that the seal of the dragon vein has been loosened. Minato has seen the dragon vein once and sealed it. Lei Luo-kun, among the ninjas in Konoha who are good at sealing, you are the most powerful, so I have to trouble you to investigate this time." Lei Luo happened to be bored recently, so he agreed. "Master Tsunade, don't you worry about my strength. Leave it to me." This is the third time that Lei Luo has come to the Kingdom of Wind. He still remembers that the first time he came to the Kingdom of Wind was the Third Ninja War. As an Anbu, he followed a large army to raid the Kikyoyama battlefield. The second time I came to the Kingdom of the Wind was to lead Jonin and Nawaki to take the Chunin exam with them. This time, I was alone. I didn't expect it to take so many years. Looking at the wind and sand in front of him, Lei Luo couldn't help feeling a little emotional. The dragon vein is the lifeline of the earth, and there are chakras that surpass other parts of the earth. If it is used carelessly, it is very likely to destroy the whole earth. Lei Luo now only needs to go to the place where Konoha Anbu once found the traces of the Roran ruins, and then sense chakra to discover the dragon veins. Apart from eating the wind and sand for a few days, without being hindered by anyone along the way, Lei Luo easily came to the place where Konoha Anbu discovered the Roran ruins. Then Lei Luo turned on his 5-vision omnipotence, observing and sensing the surroundings. Is it here? Lei Luo stopped and looked at the sealing technique revealed under his feet. Lei Luo understood that he had found the right place. Through induction, Lei Luo found that the sealing technique was indeed broken. When he came to the place where the seal was broken, he found that there was actually Minato's sword of forbearance and love inserted there, but only half of it was left. It seems that Minato used the sword of forbearance and love as the node of the sealing array. After so many years, it is no wonder that it has been damaged. I have no choice but to unseal Minato's seal and seal it again. Lei Luo held the hand seal in his hand and pressed it on the seal array. Sealing technique. Solution. Immediately, countless dense sealing techniques appeared in this world. They gathered together and automatically rotated around Lei Luo. Gradually, they began to spread from the outermost layer of the technique to the inside and gradually disappeared in this world. At the moment when the sealing technique disappeared, a deep purple light suddenly radiated from the depths of the dragon veins. At the same time, Lei Luo, who was standing in the center of the seal formation, that is, the center of the dragon veins, seemed to be treated uniquely by the dragon veins. A layer of purple light appeared all over his body, forming a connection with the deep purple light in the depths of the dragon veins. And then the light of the dragon veins continued to spread, swallowing Lei Luo in an instant. Lei Luo felt a whirlwind, constantly shuttling through a dark purple passage, and finally his eyes darkened and he lost consciousness. When Lei Luo woke up again, he found that he had changed to another place. Although he was still in the desert, he was no longer a broken wall, but a majestic city above an oasis. Is this the ancient city of Roran? I didn't expect that this dragon vein really has the ability to travel through time and space. Lei Luo sighed while looking at the city not far away. At this moment, the system in Lei Luo's mind suddenly prompted. Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering the mission and absorbing the dragon veins. Absorb the dragon vein. Return to the original time and space and absorb the power of the dragon vein. Task reward. God level lottery point 2. Looking at the system prompt in his mind, Lei Luo asked the system, System, why are there 2 God-level lottery points for this mission? The system replied, Host, this mission is actually divided into 2 parts. First, you have to find a way to return to the original time and space, and then find a way to absorb the power of the dragon veins. Of course, you have to fulfill both conditions to be considered mission accomplished. There is no reward for completing only one of them. The systematic answer solved Lei Luo's question, so now it's time to investigate the situation in the ancient country of Roran. In Lei Luo's impression, Queen Roran should be able to control the energy of the dragon veins, and she estimates there will be a way. Lei Luo turned on his 5-vision omnipotence to observe the ancient city of Roran, but found that there were countless puppet soldiers in the city. What's the matter? It may be that he traveled through time and space, which made Lei Luo's memory clearer and reminded him of the plot about dragon veins in the original book. In the original work, this task was completed by Yamato leading the new 7th class Naruto, Sakura and Sai. When they were tracking Sunagakur Beizu, they were unsealed by the power of Beizu, and they were swallowed by the dragon veins with Naruto and Yamato. Time and space. But Beizu came 6 years earlier than Naruto and the others. He has transformed into Mukade, the minister of Roran, and deceived Queen Janan's trust. He used the power of the dragon to create a puppet army. After being discovered by the previous queen, he brutally killed him. But when Lei Luo unlocked the seal this time, there were no 100 feet on the side, but why are there puppet soldiers in the ancient city of Roran? The mystery of time and space is too esoteric, and Lei Luo can't figure it out, so he can only enter the ancient city of Roran to see what is going on. Lei Luo's figure flashed, and he easily entered the ancient city of Roran. Chapter 125-Goodbye Minato. Lei Luo entered the ancient city of Roran, carefully concealed his figure, and kept groping towards the central palace. Looking at the buildings in the ancient city of Roran, Lei Luo couldn't help but sigh. This was the first time he saw such a tall building in the ninja world. But since you want to understand what happened to the ancient city of Roran, it is the easiest thing to ask Queen Roran directly. But the moment Lei Luo entered the ancient city of Roran, in a secret room underground in Roran, a burly ninja suddenly felt a sense. Is it capable of avoiding the detection of the puppets around me? But since I found out, don't even think about running away. Then he pressed the hand seal on the chair under him. However, Lei Luo in the ancient city of Roran suddenly discovered the fact that he had been exposed, because 2 teams of puppets had already surrounded him directly. Exposed. When? But Lei Luo thought about it for a while and understood the reason. It seems that the entire city of Roran has been transformed. Maybe there are investigative agencies hidden in every corner. Then go ahead and do it. With my strength, no matter how many puppets he is not my opponent. The 2 groups of puppets that were besieging Lei Luo directly raised their hands and opened the gun muzzle in their right hand, and a purple laser shot out from the gun hole. But when Lei Luo saw this, he snorted coldly, playing lasers in front of me. It seems that this guy hiding in the dark doesn't know me. Lei Luo did not dodge or evade, and also raised his right hand to gather chakra. Light escape. Laser cannon. An obviously thicker golden light shot out from Lei Luo's hands, and the cores of the 3 puppets were directly penetrated by Lei Luo, unable to fly, fell from the sky, and scattered into a pile of parts. At this moment, the purple laser shot by the puppet had already arrived in front of Lei Luo, but suddenly found that Lei Luo's figure was in an illusory trance, and actually passed through his body. After the strength became stronger, the consumption of this elementalization was obviously much smaller. Lei Luo sighed. Then Lei Luo held his right hand in the air, grabbed the higher Inmaru that appeared, and instantly jumped to the sky and slashed at the remaining puppets. 3-5 and 2-2, the puppets were dismembered by Lei Luo. The man in the underground room suddenly changed his face. Damn. Who the hell is he? Then more puppets were mobilized to besiege Lei Luo again. Are you still not giving up? Although these puppets are stronger than ordinary puppets, they are still worse than Sasori of the Red Sand. Do you want to kill me with numbers? How naive. Lei Luo thought to himself as he looked at the puppets who were surrounding him again. Just when Lei Luo was about to block, a figure instantly appeared beside him. Feeling a familiar atmosphere, Lei Luo didn't resist and let him take him away. The two reappeared and came to an underground palace, and the puppet sensed them and chased after them again. Partial doubling technique. Secret technique. Insect jade. A giant hand shot, swept across the sky towards the puppet, and immediately knocked it to the ground. Then, countless bugs flew out and covered the puppet. After struggling a few times, the puppet lost its ability to move and turned into a dead thing. The trio that is shooting now is Namikaze Minato, Akamichi Choza, the father of Akamichi Choji, and Aburame Jawei, the father of Aburame Shino. Lei Luo swept around the masked trio in front of him, then fixed his gaze on Minato and said, "Minato-kun, long time no see." Namikaze Minato listened to Lei Luo's words, looked at him carefully, and then asked with some doubts, "Are you Lei Luo-kun? How did you become so big all of a sudden?" After listening to Namikaze Minato's question, Lei Luo breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that he really came to the past, not to a parallel time and space. Before, Lei Luo was still worried that if it was a parallel time and space, the Konoha in this world should not have him. How could he explain his situation to Minato? But now that Minato recognized himself, it was much easier. Lei Luo looked at Namikaze Minato and replied, "Minato-kun, I'm not the current Lei Luo, for you, I'm from the future." After Namikaze Minato heard Lei Luo's words, he immediately stopped Lei Luo's next explanation. For him with such a high talent in time and space, it is easy to understand that what Lei Luo said is true, but he can't let Lei Luo say things in the future. Because once he knows the future, the current time and space will definitely change, and he may embark on an unknown road, detached from the future, and cause time and space disorder. So he didn't let Lei Luo continue talking, but stopped him immediately. Seeing that Namikaze Minato understood his intention, Lei Luo didn't say any more, but asked, "Minato-kun, do you know what happened here in Rorin?" Namikaze Minato nodded and said, "Originally our mission was to protect Queen Rorin, but when we arrived here, we found that Rorin had been controlled by the original Rorin minister, Mukade, and the people here disappeared. But we found Queen Sarah who escaped and learned what happened to Rorin. In the Queen's impression, Mukade came to Rorin 8 years ago. At that time, he seemed to have encountered a sandstorm in the desert. He was seriously injured and was rescued by someone sent by the previous queen. And after Mukade woke up, in order to express his gratitude to the queen, he stayed, and also showed his ability as a puppet master. At that time, the countries were at war. For the safety of Rorin, Queen Rorin agreed with Mukade to use the power of the dragon to create a puppet, but not long after, the former queen of Rorin discovered the secret of Mukade's absorption of the power of the dragon, and was killed by Mukade. Then the matter was concealed again, until Mukade felt he was strong enough not long ago and launched a mutiny. So our task now, in addition to protecting the queen, has to deal with Mukade and save Rorin." Lei Luo nodded after listening to Minato's words. Instead of worrying about Mukade's question, he asked Namikaze Minato another thing. "Minato-kun, have you learned the ghoul banishing technique now?" Namikaze Minato was surprised when he heard Lei Luo's words, but nodded when he thought that Lei Luo was from the future. So Lei Luo then asked in a serious tone, "Minato-kun, can you tell me where the death mask you are using is stored? This matter is very important." Lei Luo especially emphasized the words, "very important." Namikaze Minato looked at the serious look in Lei Luo's eyes, approached Lei Luo, and whispered where the death mask was stored. Chapter 126-Solve Mukade. Namikaze Minato came close to Lei Luo's ear and whispered where the death mask was stored. The country of the vortex, the hidden village of Uzushiogakure, the Uzumaki family's noodle hall, the statue of the god of death. Lei Luo was a little speechless when he heard this place, because Lei Luo had already obtained the contents of the Death God statue, a Death God mask and a seal scroll in the Land of Vortex. I didn't expect this Grim Reaper mask to be the one used by Namikaze Minato, which is a coincidence. But now that you know where the mask is, after returning to Konoha, you can find a way to unlock the Ghoul Seal and free Minato's soul. And after Minato is resurrected, he must know where Kushina's body is, and it will be much less difficult to resurrect Kushina. Lei Luo heard Namikaze Minato say the location. He didn't bother about this issue anymore, just nodded lightly to show that he knew. Then the next goal is to solve Mukade, and then with Sarah's help, return to the original time and space. So Lei Luo asked, have you found out where Mukade is hiding now? Namikaze Minato nodded and replied, under the original Queen's Palace, where the power of dragon veins can be used, Mukade will definitely be there. Lei Luo said directly, then what are you waiting for? Let's get rid of him now. Then he looked at Namikaze Minato's hesitant expression and said, don't worry, my strength is enough to deal with him. Namikaze Minato looked at Lei Luo who was full of confidence, and then nodded in agreement without saying anything. So the four of them went straight to where Mukade was hiding. I didn't expect you guys to be so daring to enter my territory alone. Mukade looked at Lei Luo and the four who rushed in and said. Lei Luo sneered disdainfully, what a big breath. Mukade laughed and said, ha ha ha, let you taste my true strength. I saw Mukade's fingers move slightly, and densely packed puppets appeared, directly attacking Lei Luo and the others. Before Lei Luo could shoot, Namikaze Minato's figure flashed, and the puppets stopped one after another. It turned out that Namikaze Minato directly cut off the chakra line connecting Mukade and the puppet, making Mukade uncontrollable. Without waiting for Mukade to do anything, Lei Luo appeared in front of Mukade in an instant with a flash of light. Konoha Fluid Art. Gang Force Whirlwind. Lei Luo's right leg kicked Mukade with a strong wind, which instantly shattered half of Mukade's body. Ah! The severe pain couldn't help making Mukade wailing. As a puppet master, his body was relatively fragile, and Lei Luo's strength crushed him even more. It was not surprising to achieve such a victory. But the wailing Mukade's body slowly recovered. Damn it, I'm going to tear you to pieces. Know that as long as I'm in Rorin, my power is limitless, and I'm immortal. Cut. Lei Luo sniped disdainfully. This was the third time he had met such a so-called undead guy, and he didn't care at all. Mukade climbed up from the ground, constantly inspiring the power of the dragon veins, and then he wrapped himself in a black robe, and the black robe was lifted again, and he had turned into a huge puppet spider. Mukade's spider were raised high, and instantly turned into two sharp bayonet knives, and headed towards Lei Luo. Tips. Are these powers only? Lei Luo used Renren fruit * Buddha form. To deal with such a relatively large existence, it is more appropriate to make himself bigger. Lei Luo, who was transformed into a Buddha, raised his hands, directly held the two front feet of the spider Mukade in his hands, and broke them off with a slight force. Lei Luo turned his head and said to Namikaze Minato in a loud voice, go search and see where the people of Rorin are locked up and rescue them. It's enough for me to deal with them here. Namikaze Minato and the others looked at Lei Luo who was incarnated as a Buddha, nodded, turned and left here. Mukade looked a little annoyed at Lei Luo who didn't care, and a hoarse voice sounded, you must be too confident, damn it, go to hell. The spider puppet opened its mouth wide, and purple energy condensed in it. But how could Lei Luo let him release it? I saw that Lei Luo folded his hands together and directly clamped the spider puppet's head in his hands, interrupting its condensed moves. Then Lei Luo lifted his leg and kicked the Mukade spider out. Boom! The Mukade spider was completely sunk into the wall. At this moment, all the previous puppets disassembled on their own, and the parts of the puppet flew towards the Mukade spider under the pull of strength, making his aura even stronger. As I said, as long as I'm in Rorin, my power is limitless. Just let you see the power of the ultimate puppet weapon I created in Rorin. I saw that the size of Mukade at this time has undergone tremendous changes. The entire puppet has become even larger, and the shape has also become a huge Sasori child. Meet my brand new body. Mukade Sasori's two huge eyes flashed green light. Looking at Lei Luo, a green laser shot out, obviously much stronger than before. It's challenging like this. I didn't expect this Mukade to have some skills. When Lei Luo saw this, not only was he not afraid, but he was very excited. Then Lei Luo directly stimulated the power of Godzilla in his heart again and entered the Godzilla coat mode, so the big Buddha incarnated by Lei Luo instantly condensed a set of mighty armor. Mukade's attack hit Lei Luo's armor without causing any damage to him. Lei Luo's right hand was empty, and a huge golden lightsaber appeared in Lei Luo's hand. Breath of Water *1 form *water surface slash. Lei Luo slashed at the Mukade Sasori puppet with a knife, and Mukade would not sit still. Sasori puppet opened its huge mouth, exposing the gun barrel, and then the purple energy shells kept attacking Lei Luo, trying to force him back, but these purple energy shells were directly cut off by Lei Luo. And Lei Luo rushed to the Sasori puppet almost instantly. It's here. Lei Luo turned on the five-sided omnipotence to see through the internal structure of the entire Sasori puppet, and found Mukade hidden in the puppet. Light escape, burning the sky. In this state of Lei Luo, the golden flame spit out from his mouth was really a mighty sea of flames, which directly enveloped the entire puppet. The puppet couldn't bear the high temperature of the golden flame, and it began to melt. The Mukade in his body felt like he was in a furnace. Lei Luo stabbed his sword indirectly, hitting Mukade's body. Ah! Chapter 127 _ Back to Time and Space. Double draw again. Mukade roared mournfully, and Lei Luo's light escape power made him feel that life was worse than death. But Mukade made a ruthless blow and directly exploded the entire puppet, and then caused a riot in the underground dragon veins. Ha ha ha, you all die with me. Mukade laughed wildly, then fell to the ground, lifeless. At this time, the whole ground continued to shake, and the palace began to shake. Just then Namikaze Minato suddenly appeared in front of Lei Luo. Lei Luo-kun, we have rescued all the people of Roran. Lei Lu has removed Godzilla's coat and the state of the Buddha, and returned to the original. Hearing what Namikaze Minato said, Lei Luo nodded and said, Minato-kun, that guy Mukade has also been killed by me, but before he died, he caused the Dragon Pulse to riot. We must find a way to quell the Dragon Pulse. Otherwise Roran will definitely be destroyed. Quote. Namikaze Minato nodded, looked at the purple energy surging in the cracks in the ground, and said, as of now, I can only use the sealing technique. Lei Luo-kun, don't worry, leave this to me. So Namikaze Minato flashed and came to the core of Roran's dragon vein control, and the sword of forbearance in his hand was inserted directly. Then, with a crazy hand seal in his hand, a seal formation spread out in an instant. Seal complete. The sealing technique spread violently, covering the entire ancient city of Roran, and the riots of the dragon veins were smoothed out by a mysterious force and recovered. Lei Luo was about to inquire about the location of Queen Namikaze Minato Roran, so as to find out how to return to the original time and space through the dragon veins, but unexpectedly, his body suddenly burst into a soft light, and it became a little illusory. Lei Luo-kun, it seems that you are going back. Namikaze Minato looked at Lei Luo's state and said, but in order to avoid affecting the future, I suggest that our memory be sealed this time. Lei Luo didn't speak, just nodded. He also wanted to see if his memory would be sealed. So Namikaze Minato made another Indian pose, and a mysterious force swept across Lei Luo's body. Lei Luo was about to say something, but found a flash of light in front of him, and he lost consciousness again. Lei Luo regained his senses, got up, shook his head and looked around. Looking at the familiar ruins, Lei Luo knew that he had returned to the original time and space. It seems that Minato's memory seal has no effect on me. It's normal. After all, I'm a man with a system. Then let's see how to absorb the power of the dragon veins now. Lei Luo walked to the center of the seal formation, put his hand on the sword of forbearance and love, and sensed the dragon veins under the seal. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration, Lei Luo thought of Godzilla. Yes, Godzilla can absorb these alien energy, although the energy of the dragon vein is a little bigger, but it should be able to absorb it too. Lei Luo turned on the range of 5 omnipotence to the maximum, and observed that there was no one hiding around, so he directly released Godzilla and entered the full body mode. Lei Luo controlled Godzilla and sensed the dragon veins under his feet. Sure enough, Godzilla sent back an idea to Lei Luo that he wanted to swallow. Godzilla, swallow all the dragon veins for me. After receiving the message from Lei Luo, Godzilla immediately turned on the devouring state, and the power of the dragon veins continued to pour into Godzilla's body from his feet, and finally entered Lei Luo's heart. It's so good. Godzilla devoured the whole day before absorbing all the power of the dragon veins, and taking Godzilla back to Lei Luo in his body again, he instantly felt as if his entire body was full. He quickly refined the chakra in his body and digested part of the power of the dragon veins. After a long time, Lei Luo finally felt the pain in his body disappear, and the whole talent stopped and let out a sigh of relief. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the task and absorbing the dragon veins. Get the task reward. God level lottery point 2. The system beep finally sounded. Anyway, no one around here is very safe, so Lei Luo decided to go all out and win the 2 lottery draws. System, I want to draw a lottery. Immediately, 2 appeared in Lei Luo's mind. The prizes on the left are as follows. S-Class Skill, Void Walk. S-Class Item, Water of Life. S-Grade Medicine Pill, Zuyan Dan. S-Class Prop, Rinnegan. S-Level Skills, Supernatural Power Size Rui. S-Class Weapon, Cross-Chopping Knife. The rewards on the right are as follows. S-Class Weapon, Cross Slasher. S-Class Props, Avatar Doll. S-Class Props, Legendary Gold Kitchenware. S-Grade Medicine Pill, Transformation Medicine. S-Class Pet, Tibbers Teddy Bear. S-Class Item, Time Furoshiki. There are so many prizes this time, but Lei Luo has no interest in checking them all, but just saw a few things that he can't figure out. For example, the Supernatural Power Size Rui. This is the first time that Lei Luo has seen this kind of supernatural power. Lei Luo checked it and found out that this supernatural power is a supernatural power from the 36 changes of Tiangong in the world of Journey to the West. It can change its size at will, and its strength can also change arbitrarily with its size. There is also the legendary golden kitchen utensils, which turned out to be from the world of China, and it is a set of 8 pieces, namely, Yungaling Knife, Lujialo Knife, Zuanlong Pot, Magic Holy Bronze, 8 pieces of kitchen utensils, Greedy Wolf Pot, Spirit Storage Library, and Yulong Pot. For a chef, he can be regarded as a Super S-level reward. There are also sex-changing Dan, the time-wrapped skin in the world of Doraemon, and the prizes this time can be said to be very interesting. Lei Luo simply read a few pieces, and then let the system start the lottery, because it was useless to see so many, and the system couldn't give him all of them. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the S-level skill, Void Walk. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining an S-class item, a stand-in doll. Lei Luo was a little helpless looking at the 2 prizes he had drawn. The skill of Void Walk comes from the skill of Kassadin, the Void Walker in the League of Legends world. It belongs to the space-time displacement skill, which is quite useful. But this stand-in doll is useless to Lei Luo. As the name suggests, the avatar doll will take a fatal blow for you, but for Lei Luo's current strength, there should be basically no one in the ninja world who is his opponent. It seems that I can only go back to send my girlfriend. It's useful. Lei Luo thought to himself. But as for sending that girlfriend, he hasn't made up his mind yet. However, with Void Walk, Lei Luo can now try out the abilities of this skill. Then Lei Luo accepted Void Walk from the system, and suddenly an inexplicable force merged into Lei Luo's body, making him feel that the world in front of him was different. In Lei Luo's perception, there are countless space nodes in the world in front of him. Void walking can be moved through space nodes, and after Lei Luo absorbs the dragon veins, this chakra can be called endless. Lei Luo can walk in the void without worrying about running out of chakra. Okay, since everything is over, it's time to go back. Chapter 128-Fugaku, who suddenly came to the door. Lei Luo returned to the village, and he has resumed his usual life as a salted fish. And the stand-in doll obtained by the lottery, Lei Luo also thought about the person to give, which is Azuki Yugao. Lei Luo now has 3 girlfriends. Rin is now the chief doctor and has been staying in Konoha village. Danzo is also dead, and there is basically no danger in the village. And the Pikachu drawn last time was also given to Rin, and Pikachu's fighting power is not low. And Yuhi is already a special Jonin now, and the village has also decided to let him lead the team as Jonin to bring a few students, and the mission is less dangerous. Only Yugao, perhaps because of the will of the world, still joined Anbu, which was her own decision, and Lei Luo could only express her support. As we all know, Anbu's mission is much more dangerous than other missions, so Lei Luo decided to give this doll to Yugao. If you draw anything later, you can give it to Yuhi. On this day, Lei Luo sat at the front desk of the Psychic Beast shop again, looking like he was doing nothing. Rin went to work at the Konoha hospital, Yuhi and Yugao also went to work, even Naruto had Xiao Sasuke to play with him, so Lei Luo was left alone. At this moment, someone walked into the door of the Psychic Beast store. Welcome. Lei Luo raised his head and greeted the customers who entered the store, but the people in front of him really surprised Lei Luo. Isn't this Chief Fugaku? What a distinguished guest. That's right, the person entering the store now is the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Sasuke's father, Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku listened to Lei Luo's words, smiled politely, and said, Lei Luo-kun, I am here to ask for advice this time, not to buy a psychic beast. Lei Luo asked with some doubts, oh, I don't know if Patriarch Fugaku has anything to do with me. Uchiha Fugaku smiled, I'm afraid it's not convenient to speak here, and you are Shisui's teacher, and Shisui is a genius of our Uchiha family. I just took this opportunity to invite you to our house. Is it convenient for you? Looking at Fugaku in front of him, Lei Luo understands that what Fugaku wants to talk about is not simple, but Lei Luo also has self-confidence. So Lei Luo said, no problem, Patriarch Fugaku, to be honest, I haven't been to the aristocratic land for so long. Uchiha Fugaku listened to Lei Luo's answer. The smile on his face became more sincere, and he said, then at 7 o'clock tonight, I will set up a banquet at home, and I will invite you to enjoy it. Lei Luo nodded and said nothing. Uchiha Fugaku's trip has also been achieved, so he left. I don't know why Uchiha Fugaku is looking for me. Lei Luo looked at the back of Uchiha Fugaku who walked out of the gate, his thoughts fluctuated. Konoha Village, Uchiha Tribe. Lei Luo arrived on time for the appointment, and Fugaku had already set up a banquet and waited. After eating and drinking, Fugaku led Lei Luo into a secret room. Lei Luo looked at Uchiha Fugaku and asked straight to the point, now the Fugaku patriarch can say that he has something to do with me. Fugaku listened to Lei Luo's words and did not answer directly, but instead asked another question. Lei Luo-kun, do you know anything about our Uchiha family? After listening to Fugaku's words, Lei Luo shook his head slightly, indicating that he didn't know. But in his heart, Lei Luo kept complaining. I also asked me if I knew anything about your Uchiha family. If I tell you what I know, you won't be able to stay. Fugaku looked at Lei Luo, who was shaking his head, and began to give Lei Luo some brief introductions, which was also to pave the way for his purpose of finding Lei Luo. Our Uchiha family is the family that established the Konoha village together with the Senju family, but since the Uchiha Madara sentenced Konoha, our Uchiha family began to be untrusted by Hokage and were rejected. Although the second-generation Hokage gave us the Uchiha family the power to form the police department, it also moved our Uchiha family out of the core of Konoha. And since the establishment of the police department, members of the Uchiha family will inevitably offend the public because of law enforcement, and they have been excluded even more. This matter reached the most stalemate after the third-generation Hokage took over and Shimura Danzo formed the root. Then the Kyubi Ninetales rebellion happened again, and the high-level people in the village also knew that the state of Kyubi Ninetales at that time was controlled by the Mangekyo Sharingan of our Uchiha clan. In this way, our Uchiha clan would suffered greater suspicion. Quote. So over time, two different voices appeared within the clan. Having said this, Uchiha Fugaku stopped, then looked at Lei Luo with the same expression before continuing. There are some people in the clan who think that we should hand over the power of the police department and integrate into the village, while others think that we, the Uchiha clan, should stage a coup and seize the position of Hokage. Lei Luo-kun, if it were you, how would you choose? Hearing Fugaku's question, Lei Luo smiled and said, Patriarch Fugaku, this is an internal matter of your Uchiha clan, and you shouldn't ask me, an outsider, right? Also, Master Tsunade is my teacher, and I belong to the Hokage clan. You even said in front of me that the Uchiha clan wanted a coup d'état, so aren't you afraid that the village will kill your Uchiha clan? Fugaku looked at Lei Luo with a smile on the corner of his mouth, and said, Lei Luo-kun, it is because you are Master Tsunade's student that I will ask your opinion and see what the village thinks of our Uchiha clan now. Quote. And maybe the coup d'état I just said was just a little joke. If there is no evidence, there is nothing the village can do. And as Shisui's teacher, you can't just watch him get involved in the family and cause problems. Lei Luo listened to Fugaku's words, but instead asked an irrelevant question. Patriarch Fugaku, as far as I know, you started Mangekyo Sharingan during the Third Ninja War, right? Uchiha Fugaku twitched the corners of his eyes after hearing Lei Luo's words, and said with a dry smile, Lei Luo-kun, you are too good at joking, our Uchiha family's Mangekyo Sharingan is not so easy to open. Looking at Fugaku's performance, Lei Luo spread his hands, I was joking just now, Patriarch Fugaku, you should know in your heart. And since you just asked me what I think of the two voices within the Uchiha clan, I can only tell you that I will remove all the unsettling elements from the Konoha. So, please think about it carefully, Chief Fugaku. After speaking, Lei Luo walked out of the secret room, said goodbye to Uchiha Makoto and the brothers Itachi and Sasuke, and left. On the other hand, Uchiha Fugaku was alone in a secret room and fell into contemplation. Chapter 129 Sign up for Shikatsu Forest. Lei Luo returned from the Uchiha family's clan. He didn't say anything to Tsunade. He wanted to see what choice the current Uchiha Fugaku would make. And Lei Luo always felt as if he had forgotten something. Lei Luo tossed and turned on the bed, unable to fall asleep. What did I think of just now? What did I forget? After going back and forth a few times, Lei Luo patted his head. Oh, it's so annoying, I don't want to, I'll know when something happens. Then he slowly fell asleep, and discussed with Zhou Gong. The next morning, Lei Luo, as usual, got up early in the morning. After exercising, he opened the door of the store and was ready to start his life as a salted fish store manager. But the person standing at the door surprised Lei Luo. Changwu. Why are you here? Lei Luo asked in surprise. Changwu looked at Lei Luo and said, Lord Lei Luo, I'm sorry, I recently felt that the power in my body started to overflow again. After hearing Changwu's words, Lei Luo remembered what he had forgotten. I agreed that I would ask Tsunade if I could learn Shikatsu Forest's sage art, and then figure out a way to solve Shigego's problem. I didn't expect that I would forget such an important thing and do nothing every day like a salted fish. Lei Luo looked at Changwu and couldn't help feeling a little embarrassed, and then Lei Luo said, "Don't worry, Changwu, I have some ideas about your problem. I will help you to strengthen the seal now, and then I will help you solve the problem completely." Quote. After listening to Lei Luo's words, Changwu didn't think too much. After all, so many years have passed, and he is born with a physical problem. He also knows that it is not easy to solve, as long as he doesn't run away now. Now Shigego has been living in Konoha village as an ordinary person for almost half a year, and he likes peaceful Konoha very much. If the seal was just reinforced, Lei Luo was just a hands-on effort, so Lei Luo took Changwu into the store first, and then asked him to take off his shirt and check it out for him first. Lei Luo sensed the state of the seal in Changwu's body, and found that the power of the sealing technique was indeed wiped out by natural energy, but the seal was still intact as a whole, and there was no need to rearrange the seal. 4 elephant seals. Hand seal in Lei Luo's hand pressed on the original sealing technique. The energy of the sealing technique in his hand was continuously replenished into the original technique, and it quickly returned to its original state. Changwu felt that his body was relaxed again, and couldn't help but thank Lei Luo again. Lei Luo chatted with Changwu about his recent life again. He let him go back to rest. After Changwu left, Lei Luo closed the store door and walked directly towards the Hokage building. Hokage building, Hokage office. Knock knock knock. Tsunade heard a knock from outside the door and shouted to come in. Lei Luo pushed the door and walked in. Looking at Lei Luo who walked into the office, Tsunade asked in surprise, "Lei Luo-kun, this is the first time you came to Hokage's office on your own initiative. I didn't send someone to look for you before, but you never came. Tell me, did you come to Hokage's office to ask me something?" After listening to Tsunade's words, Lei Luo smiled awkwardly. What Tsunade said was right. With Lei Luo's character, if there was no assignment, and Tsunade didn't take the initiative to call him, he wouldn't come to Hokage's office. And he really had something to ask Tsunade for help this time. So although it was a little embarrassing, Lei Luo still said, "Master Tsunade, I really need your help this time." Tsunade said with a smile, "What is it? Tell me, you have done so much for the village, and this is the first time you have taken the initiative to ask for help." Lei Luo continued, "Master Tsunade, I'm here mainly to ask you, can I learn sage art from Shikatsu Forest?" Tsunade asked with some doubts, "Lei Luo-kun, with your current strength, you don't need to learn sage art anymore, and learning sage art is very dangerous." Lei Luo replied, "Master Tsunade, the reason why I want to learn sage art is to improve my strength. On the other hand, I want to see if I can find a solution to my body problem." Tsunade suddenly realized, "Shugego. It's that kid you brought back with a natural ability to absorb natural energy." Lei Luo nodded, "That's right, it's him. If he can solve his physical problems, he will definitely become the mainstay of our Konoha Jinchuriki column in the future." Tsunade listened to Lei Luo's words, nodded and replied, "Okay, I agree with this matter, but I have to ask the slug fairy, she must agree." Tsunade then hand-seal channeled and summoned a small slug. With Mount Myoboku and Ryachi Cave, Shikatsu Forest is known as the 3 holy places of psychic beasts. Shikatsu Forest, a slug that has survived for more than 1,000 years since the Kagaya era, is known as the slug fairy. With the ability to split, it can be used for large-scale treatment. There is an extremely powerful sage art chakra in the body, and the size is extremely huge. Its white body is integrated with the place where it is enshrined. For those who come to practice, Slug Immortal will infuse them with natural energy. The difference from Mount Myoboku Toad and Ryachi Cave Serpent is that the slug is a whole, while in the original book Tsunade and Sakura can only summon a part of the slug fairy each time. the more chakras are used in spiritualism. The larger the slug, the larger the channeled slug. The little slug summoned by Tsunade looked at Tsunade and asked, "Little Tsunade, what's the matter with you calling me out?" Tsunade said respectfully to the slug fairy, "Slug fairy, this time you are summoned because someone wants to learn the sage art of Shikatsu Forest, so you need to ask for your permission." The slug immortal replied, "Who wants to learn sage art? You call him over to have a look." At this time, Lei Luo, who was waiting by the side, took the initiative and said, "Slug immortal, this time I want to learn Shikatsu Forest sage art." Hearing the words, the slug turned around and looked at Lei Luo, then climbed onto Lei Luo and injected a little natural energy, and saw that Lei Luo's body did not show any rejection. Then the slug fairy turned around again and said to Tsunade, "Little Tsunade, I agree to this matter. You can make him sign the Shikatsu Forest contract later, and when he is ready, you inform me. I'll pull him to Shikatsu Forest using reverse psychics." Tsunade heard the words and replied, "Yes. Slug immortal." Lei Luo also said, "Thank you, Slug immortal." The slug immortal nodded and released the summoning by himself. Bang! Disappeared into smoke, and returned to Shikatsu Forest. Then Tsunade took out the psychic scroll of Shikatsu Forest and said to Lei Luo, "Since the slug fairy agreed, then Lei Luo-kun, you can sign your name on the psychic scroll." Lei Luo nodded, then stepped forward and signed his name on the Shikatsu Forest psychic scroll. Chapter 130 Sage Art Training in Shikatsu Forest. Tsunade put away the scroll again after seeing Lei Luo signed his name. Then he said, "Lei Luo-kun, try channeling and use less chakra." Lei Luo listened to Tsunade's words and nodded, and the psychic yin Lei Luo naturally knew it. The art of psychic. Lei Luo mobilized a little chakra, and hand seal summoned the slug fairy. Bang! A slug that was bigger than the one Tsunade summoned just now appeared in front of the two of them. The slug immortal looked at Lei Luo and said, "Have you successfully signed the contract? Go back and prepare, and you can call me after you're ready." Lei Luo nodded, and the slug fairy went back by himself. Then Lei Luo said to Tsunade, "Master Tsunade, thank you, I'll go back and prepare first, and I have to tell Rin and the others that learning sage art this time is estimated to be a long time." Tsunade returned with a smile, "Lei Luo-kun doesn't have to be so polite, you go back first." Lei Luo didn't say anything more polite, turned around and walked out. Is this Shikatsu Forest? Lei Luo looked at the surrounding scenery and found that it should be underground. But thinking about Lei Luo can also understand, after all, it must conform to the living habits of slugs. It's so big. Lei Luo turned around and looked at the body of the slug fairy, which almost traverses the entire Shikatsu Forest. This should be the largest creature in Hokage. Your name is Lei Luo, right, Lei Luo-kun, come with me this way. At this moment, a slug with a height of one person swam to Lei Luo's side and said, "The main body is usually in a sleeping state, and only wakes up when someone is psychic." Lei Luo listened to the slug and nodded, then followed it to the interior of Shikatsu Forest. The slug took Lei Luo to a pond. Lei Luo felt it, and the water in the pond turned out to be natural energy condensed into liquid. Slug said to Lei Luo, "Since you want to learn sage art, you must first understand what sage art is. You should know how the chakra in the human body is extracted." Lei Luo nodded and replied, "Chakra is extracted from the body energy absorbed from the 130 trillion cells of the human body one by one, and the spiritual energy that has undergone many practices and accumulated experience." "That's right," said the slug, "and sage art absorbs natural energy on this basis, and then makes the natural energy and chakra merge into a harmonious state, which will produce sage art chakra. So the first step we have to do now is to absorb the natural energy. Before signing the contract, I injected a little natural energy into your body, and your body successfully absorbed it, which means you should be able to absorb natural energy more easily. The water in this pool is the condensed natural energy, but it is condensed through the body, and it is much milder than ordinary natural energy. You can soak your feet in it first and try to absorb it. Lei Luo obediently took off his shoes and soaked his feet in it. Now start refining chakra, said the slug. Lei Luo sat obediently by the pool and began to refine. Immediately, Lei Luo felt warm currents flowing into his body from the acupuncture points on the soles of his feet. Is this natural energy? It's not as dangerous as I thought. Lei Luo felt the gentle natural energy in his body and began to try to fuse it with the original chakra. And the slug looked at Lei Luo's appearance without any change, and was relieved. In fact, what Lei Luo didn't know was that the reason why he could absorb natural energy so easily had something to do with the fact that he had eaten the glittering fruit. The glittering fruit belongs to the natural element fruit, which can elementalize the body, so there is no rejection of natural energy. Now that the first step was successfully carried out, the next step was easier, so Lei Luo started the practice of Shikatsu Forest Sage Art under the guidance of the Slug Fairy. Time just passed by 10:10, Lei Luo constantly absorbs natural energy every day, and then merges with his own chakra. But maybe the quality of Lei Luo's chakra itself is too high, so the fusion ratio of his Sage Art chakra is also different from that of ordinary people, and he can only rely on himself to constantly feel and try. Fortunately, the natural energy did not cause any harm to him, and even if the fusion failed, he only needed to reabsorb the natural energy. As a result, Lei Luo fell into a process of continuous reincarnation of absorption, fusion, absorption, fusion. Half a year passed quickly, but what Lei Luo felt most uncomfortable during this half year was not the practice, but the diet. Shikatsu Forest is related to slugs, so the most common creatures here are insects. Lei Luo only thought Mount Myoboku's food was bugs, but he didn't expect Shikatsu Forest to. This also makes Lei Luo often sigh, if only the legendary gold kitchenware of the Little Master was drawn in the lottery. On this day, Lei Luo once again absorbed the natural energy as usual, and then began to try fusion. Fusion, fusion, fusion. Lei Luo controlled the chakra and natural energy in his body and began to fuse, and he was still cheering himself up. And this time, the fusion of Sage Art chakra turned out to be a success. Ha ha ha, I succeeded. Lei Luo felt the completely different chakra in his body and shouted excitedly. Although the countless failures in the past 6 months have tempered Lei Luo's temperament, it is inevitable that he is a little depressed. This time I succeeded, and the anguish in my heart was swept away. The slug also heard Lei Luo's call and immediately swam over. How's it going? Have you successfully merged? Lei Luo looked at the slug, calmed down his excitement, and replied, yes, I have successfully merged. Slug heard the words and replied, very good, since the fusion has been successful, then you only need to accumulate enough Sage Art chakra, and then you can enter the Sage Art mode naturally. Lei Luo nodded vigorously, then adjusted himself hard, and after restoring his mentality to the state of the ancient well, he immediately sat down again, began to absorb natural energy, and accumulated Sage Art chakra. However, because the chakra in Lei Luo's body was too large, and Lei Luo wanted to fuse all the Sage Art chakra at one time, this absorption took a whole week. A week later, Lei Luo opened his eyes, and the moment he opened his eyes, he felt as if there was a flash of light, and the state of Lei Luo's whole body was also different from usual. The slug fairy who had been watching Lei Luo said, now you can try to enter Sage mode. Lei Luo nodded, directly mobilized the Sage Art chakra in his body, without hand seal, and without meditating, he successfully entered Sage mode in an instant. A touch of golden eyeshadow appeared on Lei Luo's eye sockets. Chapter 131 Fugaku's Decision. Lei Luo is back. After all, when Lei Luo was practicing Sage Art in Shikatsu Forest, Uchiha Fugaku finally made his decision. With the current strength of the village, if the Uchiha family wants to defect and seize power, there is basically no possibility. Unless Tsunade, Lei Luo, Jiraiya are dead now, this kind of thing is bound to fail. Fugaku looked at Itachi in the garden who was teaching Sasuke how to exercise and made up his mind. He decided to give up the part of the family who wanted to betray, and then release the power of the police department to change the embarrassing situation of the Uchiha family in the village. However, in order to resolve the different voices in the family decisively, it is definitely not enough for him alone. So Uchiha Fugaku took the initiative to meet Tsunade and share his thoughts. Office, Tsunade looked at Uchiha Fugaku with a complicated expression, and what Fugaku said just now surprised her. Unexpectedly, Uchiha Fugaku, as the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, would take the initiative to take action against the members of the Uchiha clan, and even wanted her to send Anbu to help. What surprised her even more was that Fugaku was also the Minister of Police, but he would agree to give up part of his power and allow non-Uchiha ninjas to enter the police department. Chief Fugaku, are you serious about what you just said? Tsunade asked in a deep voice. Uchiha Fugaku looked serious and replied, Master Tsunade, please rest assured, what I said just now was carefully considered by me. Tsunade looked at Uchiha Fugaku's serious look, nodded, and said, since you have already thought about it, Chief Fugaku, I agree with this matter. Now, please go back to collect information, identify personnel, and prepare. You can send someone to notify me when you are ready to do it. Uchiha Fugaku nodded, then got up and walked out of the Hokage office. Walking out of the Hokage building and looking at the Hokage building behind him, Uchiha Fugaku couldn't help sighing. I don't know if I made the right decision. I hope there will be a good outcome. On the other side, in Shikatsu Forest, Lei Luo finally successfully entered Sage Mode. Lei Luo looked at his current appearance reflected in the water, and the golden eye shadow showed a noble and mysterious atmosphere. This man is so handsome. Lei Luo brazenly praised himself. Then Lei Luo felt the sage art chakra filled in his body with his heart, and a completely different feeling emerged spontaneously. As expected of Sage Mode, it really is much stronger. Lei Luo sighed inwardly. The slug fairy looked at the eyeshadow that appeared in Lei Luo's eyes, and knew that Lei Luo's Sage Mode was successful. So the slug immortal said to Lei Luo-kun, since your sage art has been successfully practiced, you can leave at any time now. If the sage art chakra is exhausted, you can contact me at any time to use the reverse. The psychic calls you back to Shikatsu Forest and absorbs the energies of nature. Quote. Lei Luo nodded when he heard the words of the slug fairy. Although he really wanted to try his own strength in Sage Mode, Shikatsu Forest was obviously not a suitable place. So Lei Luo exited Sage Mode, and the golden eyeshadow on the eye socket dissipated and disappeared under the skin. Slug Immortal, thank you for your teaching over the past 6 months, I am really bothering you. Lei Luo said to the slug, then I'll go back to Konoha now. The slug fairy nodded, and then Lei Luo turned into smoke with a bang, disappeared, and returned to Konoha. Konoha Village, in the bedroom on the 2nd floor of Lei Luo's psychic beast shop. Bang, a burst of smoke appeared. After the smoke cleared, Lei Luo appeared on the bed. Lei Luo got out of bed, walked to the window, looked at the warm sunshine outside, and couldn't help sighing, ah, I'm finally back. Let's take a shower first. The 6 months of Shikatsu Forest have not been very comfortable. Then Lei Luo turned around and walked into the bathroom. At this time, Rin, who had just woken up, suddenly heard movement from Lei Luo's bedroom next door. Who is it? Is it Lei Luo-kun back? Rin was a little puzzled. But Rin also maintained a cautious, quietly opened the door of Lei Luo's bedroom and walked in. You must know that men usually take a shower very quickly, and after Rin went in, he ran into Lei Luo who had just come out of the bathroom. Then Rin screamed shyly and ran out. To ask why, of course it was because Lei Luo came out of the bathroom with no clothes on. Lei Luo looked at Rin who ran out and laughed twice, then put on clean clothes and went out to meet Rin. Rin, long time no see, how is it for the past 6 months? Lei Luo asked, looking at Rin with a shy yuhi on his face. Rin heard the words and replied softly, "There's nothing to do in the past 6 months, but Naruto has already started to learn how to refine chakra." Lei Luo nodded. After all, for ordinary family ninjas, they would start teaching their children to refine chakra around the age of 4. In the original book, Naruto was not taken care of when he was a child, and it was not until the ninja school that he began to learn to refine chakra, and now Naruto has begun to refine chakra. In terms of the physique of the Uzumaki family, when it comes to Jonin school, the amount of chakra is certain. It will be a lot taller than ordinary children. Of course, Lei Luo did not forget his main purpose of practicing sage art in the past 6 months. For Lei Luo, improving his strength is only one of the insignificant reasons, although the gains are huge. But his main purpose is to use sage art to learn by analogy, and then successfully solve Shigego's physical problems. So Lei Luo looked at Rin and asked, "Rin, has Chongo been here recently?" Rin shook his head lightly after listening to Lei Luo's words. "After you went to Shikatsu Forest, Chongo-kun didn't come here, but came once for nothing." "Oh, yes, and Shisui came too." Oh, Lei Luo was a little surprised when he heard the words, "Does Bai and Shisui have something to do with me?" Rin replied softly, "Bai has nothing to do, just come and hang out. And Shisui should have something to do with you, but he didn't say what it was." Lei Luo nodded when he heard the words, and then said, "If that's the case, I'll go ask Shisui. You've been the only one busy at home for the past 6 months. It's really hard for you." While speaking, Lei Luo stretched out his hand to hold Rin in his arms, but Rin Yuhi didn't dodge with a face, but let Lei Luo hug him. Lei Luo asked about the faint fragrance on Rin's body. He couldn't help holding Rin's face, and then pressed down on his mouth. At this moment, Naruto suddenly ran out and saw Lei Luo shouting happily, "Uncle Lei Luo, you are back." Rin heard Naruto's shout and instantly pushed Lei Luo away. And Lei Luo looked at Naruto running over with black lines all over his head. Chapter 132-Tangled Shisui. Although Lei Luo felt a little unhappy, he was not the kind of trash who would use a child to vent his anger, and Naruto was more excited to see him. But the moment he saw Naruto, he remembered something. That is, the resurrection of Minato can already be put on the agenda, and there is only about 1 year left in the original 5-year plan. Now that he has learned how to seal the ghouls, he has also found the death mask used by Minato. He just needs to find a suitable opportunity to summon death, then break open his stomach and release Minato's soul. Then he just needs to use the light of awakening on Minato's soul, and he can be resurrected. Looks like we need to find a chance to go out. Lei Luo thought to himself, it's not very convenient to summon death in Konoha. Now go to Shisui's side and see what he has to do with me. So Lei Luo went to Shisui's residence to find him. Uchiha Tribe, Shisui home. Not long ago, Uchiha Fugaku had come to visit Uchiha Shisui. Although Shisui was very happy with the attention of the patriarch, Uchiha Fugaku told him something that made him a little hard to understand. So he wanted to ask his teacher Lei Luo, but found that the teacher was not in the village. Just then, there was a knock on the door outside the door. Shisui hurried over to open the door when he heard the knock on the door, then saw Lei Luo standing outside the door, and instantly welcomed Lei Luo in. "Mr. Lei Luo, you are back." Shisui looked at Lei Luo and said happily. Lei Luo nodded, then asked, "Shisui, I heard from Rin, you went to see me before, what's the matter?" When Shisui heard Lei Luo's question, he became depressed and said, "Mr. Lei Luo, I wanted to find you mainly because of some family matters." Lei Luo replied, "If you have anything, just say it. After all, I am also your teacher. I will help you with anything." Shisui nodded and said, "When you were not in the village before, the patriarch came to me." Lei Luo asked, "Patriarch? Uchiha Fugaku?" "Well, that's right," Shisui continued, "Fugaku-sama came to me and told me something. He told me that the family is currently divided into 2 factions, one of which has the heart of rebelling against the village, and he is ready to do it. Tell me to prepare my heart, but also to tell me not to leak the news. Lei Luo nodded and said, Fugaku once asked me about this matter. He hadn't made up his mind at that time, but I didn't expect him to think clearly now. Do you have any questions about this matter? Shisui replied in a low voice, as the only solution for the party in the family that might rebel. Lei Luo sighed helplessly after hearing Shisui's words. In Lei Luo's view, Shisui has always had some senseless compassion, and is easily influenced by others. To put it in bad words, Shisui is a bit too holy. In the original book, Shisui is very entangled because of the relationship between the village and the family. With the strongest demonic illusion Koto Amatsukami awakened by his Mangekyo Sharingan, whether he controls Danzo, 3 generations to save the family, or controls Fugaku to return to the village is a choice. In the end, because it was difficult for him to be sure, he was attacked by Danzo in the end. One eye was gouged out, and the other eye was given to Uchiha Itachi, and he was buried in the river of Nenga River. Lei Luo thought that Shisui had followed him for so many years, and he should have learned some of his behavior, but he never thought that Shisui would still have such an idea. Thinking of this, Lei Luo asked Shisui, what would you do if your arm was stabbed by Kuei? Shisui replied without thinking, first of all, of course, bandage the wound to stop the bleeding. Lei Luo nodded and then asked, if there is some necrotic tissue on your wound, what would you do? Shisui replied, of course the necrotic part is excised and then the wound is healed by bandaging. Lei Luo smiled and replied, that's right, isn't the question I asked just now the same as the current situation of the Uchiha family? The Uchiha family is like a person, and a rift with the village is like a wound. Those who have a rebellious heart in the Uchiha clan are like necrotic tissue on a wound, and only when it is removed can the wound heal. Otherwise, the wound will keep festering and eventually there is no cure. Shisui is a smart person, Lei Luo explained it, and he understood. Mr. Lei Luo, I've made you worry. Is it useless for me? It's hard for me to judge such a simple thing. Although Lei Luo was a little angry, but Lei Luo felt that Shisui was not a big problem, so Lei Luo comforted, Shisui, it's okay, maybe you care too much about your family, as the so-called authorities are obsessed with bystanders, so it's normal that you can't see clearly for a while. As long as you understand it now, it's fine. When Fugaku shoots, I should come too. I hope you won't have any unbearable thoughts by then. Since they have some rebellious hearts, they are no longer Konoha's ninjas, and they are no longer your Uchiha clan, you can just treat them as hostile ninjas. Shisui nodded vigorously, his eyes were firm, and he was no longer confused. Lei Luo looked at Shisui returning to normal, so he didn't stay any longer, but went to the Hokage building to say hello to Tsunade. On the one hand, Lei Luo just came back from Shikatsu Forest, so he should say something. On the other hand, since Uchiha Fugaku has decided to do it, the village must be prepared to quell the possible adverse effects. So Lei Luo and Shisui said goodbye and left, and then walked towards the Hokage building. When Lei Luo came to the Hokage building, he was surprised to find that Uchiha Fugaku was also in the Hokage office. Lei Luo, are you back? Tsunade asked with a smile when he saw Lei Luo. Lei Luo nodded and replied softly, well, I just came back this morning. Tsunade then asked, how are things going? Is it going well? Lei Luo knew that what Tsunade was referring to was his practice of Shikatsu Forest sage art, but Fugaku couldn't explain it clearly. Then Lei Luo replied, Master Tsunade, everything went well, things have been successful. Tsunade nodded and said, Lei Luo, you came back just in time. Chief Fugaku needs help with something this time. I'm still thinking about who should lead the team. Now it's just right for you. Lei Luo replied, oh. What's the matter? Uchiha Fugaku replied, Lei Luo-kun, I have already thought about what happened last time, and have been preparing for a long time. Tonight, get ready to do it. Chapter 133 Uchiha Clearing Action. The current Uchiha family is really not difficult for Lei Luo. Lei Luo also readily accepted Tsunade's decision to let him lead Anbu to support Fugaku. For the past 6 months, Lei Luo has had enough of a boring life. Now that I have just come back, there can be such interesting things, and Lei Luo is still very interested. That's right, for the current Lei Luo, clearing the Uchiha clan's rebels is only a relatively conscious activity. Even this cleared person may account for nearly half of the Uchiha clan's population. The Uchiha clan at night seems so peaceful, almost everyone has entered a dream. At this time, Uchiha Fugaku, the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, was waiting in the security department with some of the elite of the security department. At this moment, Lei Luo came with Anbu's elite team, and Lei Luo also wore the long-lost Anbu mask. "Are you all ready?" Lei Luo asked Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku nodded. "Let's start over there." With an order, all the ninjas at the scene left instantly and began to perform their tasks. Before that, Fugaku had already handed over the list and positions of the members to Lei Luo. In this way, the blood spreads in the night. Lei Luo and Fugaku just followed the elites of the security department and the elites of Anbu, and it is not yet time for them to take action. Something in my heart, Shisui has been sleeping very restlessly recently. When Lei Luo and the others started to move, Shisui suddenly woke up and noticed a different atmosphere outside. So Shisui slipped out quietly, ready to investigate the current situation. But Shisui looked at those clansmen who kept dying, and there was inevitably some sadness in his heart, and some grief. After seeing Anbu ninja kill a child mercilessly, this sad mood even reached ultimate. I saw Shisui Sharingan's third tomo melted instantly, and then formed a shuriken-like pattern. At this moment, Lei Luo discovered Shisui, noticed Shisui's mood swings, and saw Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan. I didn't expect Shisui to evolve into Mangekyo under such circumstances. It's amazing. I wonder if Shisui's Mangekyo Hitomi will be Koto Amatsukami. Lei Luo to have this question. After all, Sharingan is called the eye of spiritual portrayal, and the ability to awaken Mangekyo is related to his subconscious will. Lei Luo also does not know under what circumstances Shisui awakened Mangekyo in the original work. Lei Luo came to Shisui in an instant. Although Lei Luo was wearing a mask, Shisui still recognized him. "Shisui, how are you?" Lei Luo asked quietly. Shisui shook his head and said, "Teacher, I have nothing to do. Although I already know the result, it's still a little hard to accept seeing it with my own eyes." Lei Luo nodded, and then said, "I understand your feeling, but this is the only way for the Uchiha family. You should follow me now, or it will not be easy to explain." Shisui nodded and stopped talking, and the Mangekyo in his eyes also hid and returned to the state of 3 Tomo Sharingan. In this way, the clearing operation of the Uchiha clan is proceeding smoothly. Only a few elders of the Uchiha clan were left to be resolved soon. Before everyone had gathered to a courtyard, the remaining elders of Uchiha lived in it. "Let's go, just go in, they've already spotted us," Lei Luo said to Fugaku. Fugaku nodded and walked in. "Fugaku, I have long known that the village will attack our Uchiha family sooner or later, but what I didn't expect is that it will be you who will attack." An elder of Uchiha stared at Fugaku who walked in, and his words were full of indignation and incredible. Fugaku said without changing his face, "Elder, everything I do is for our Uchiha." Uchiha snorted coldly, "For Uchiha, I think you have become a dog at the top of the village. Where did you put the glory of our Uchiha family?" Fugaku looked at the stubborn elder in front of him, shook his head and said, "It's useless to talk too much. Since I have already decided to do it, I will never show mercy." Uchiha roared and said, "Okay, I'll see how you deal with us." Lei Luo watched the two of them chatting nonsense, and was ready to shoot. But Fugaku also saw what Lei Luo was thinking and said, "Lord Lei Luo, let me do the trick this time. How can I say that this is also the internal affairs of my Uchiha clan?" Lei Luo nodded and took Shisui to stand aside, ready to be a bystander. If Uchiha Fugaku can't solve it, it won't be too late for him to make another move. Uchiha and Fugaku stood facing each other, and both had already opened Sharingan, and the reason why the elder could become an elder also had 2 brushes, all 3 Tomo Sharingan. But you must know that Fugaku has already awakened Mangekyo, and saw Tomo in his eyes turn, and by the way, it turned into a shape similar to a boomerang. Tsukuyomi. Fugaku's left eye spun, and the elder Uchiha who was looking at Fugaku fell instantly. The other elders were also surprised to see Fugaku's eyes. It turned out to be Mangekyo Sharingan. Lei Luo was looking at Fugaku's Mangekyo with great interest. He didn't expect Fugaku's eyes to have the same ability as Itachi, but after all, he was a father and son, so it was understandable. What makes Lei Luo curious is what abilities Fugaku's other eye has. But Fugaku didn't show it. For Fugaku, who owns Mangekyo Sharingan, it was really easy to solve these elders. They didn't give them a chance to release ninjutsu. Demonic illusion solved them without making any noise. And Lei Luo also roughly guessed Fugaku's idea. The reason why he used Mangekyo Sharingan should be to make the village pay more attention to himself and increase the cost of negotiating with the village later. Let's go. Seeing that everything had settled down, Lei Luo turned around and walked out. This time I don't need him to do anything, just follow along and watch it as if it was Achan oil. A group of Anbu saw this and left with Lei Luo. Some of the remaining finishing work no longer needs them to be shot, and they can go back and submit tasks. And Shisui is even less likely to stay here. Since he has no way to change, he can only accept this result, and he also knows that this is the best solution for Uchiha. Looking at the dark night sky, it was still a long time before dawn, and he should go home to rest, and disappeared in place in a flash. What they didn't know was that there was a dark shadow watching all this silently. Chapter 134 Obito's reaction. Lei Luo is out of the village. The land of water, Mizukage office. A black shadow emerged from the ground, but the 4th generation of Mizukage Yagura was not surprised when he saw it. It can be said that there was no reaction. At this moment, a Uzumaki suddenly appeared next to Yagura, and a man in a black robe with a spiral mask walked out. It was Uchiha Obito. Uchiha Obito looked at the shadow and said, "Black Zetsu, did you ask White Zetsu to inform me about what happened?" In this Mizukage office, Uchiha Obito has no idea of concealing his identity at all, and the 4th generation of Mizukage should be just a puppet he controls. The black figure that appeared on the ground is Black Zetsu, the legendary ant spirit, who has been working hard for thousands of years to save Otsutsuki Kagaya, who was sealed in the moon. There are many things in the ninja world behind him. Even Uchiha Madara is played by him in the palm of his hand. Of course, Obito didn't know all this. He, like Uchiha Madara, thought that Black Zetsu was the incarnation of Uchiha Madara's will. Black Zetsu said to Uchiha Obito, "Something happened in Konoha village not long ago." The head of the Uchiha clan personally cleared out the voices of rebellion against Konoha within the clan. That's right, the black shadow that was secretly peeping in Konoha before was Black Zetsu. The main purpose of his trip to Konoha was to investigate the news of the Kyuubi, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki column force, but it happened to be cleared by Uchiha Fugaku. Action. Obito listened to Black Zetsu's words and said indifferently, "The people of the Uchiha clan have nothing to do with me. My purpose now is just to create a new world, a world where Rin exists." Poor Obito, who has been kept in the dark by Black Zetsu until now, thought Rin was dead. I don't know how Obito would react if he went to Konoha and met Rin in the future. If he knew that Rin had become Lei Luo's girlfriend, how would he react? Black Zetsu said, "Don't forget, our first goal now is to collect the 9-tailed beasts. If the Konoha is all integrated, we have no chance of grabbing Kyuubi, 9-tails." Obito waved his hand and said, "Don't worry, there will always be opportunities. As long as our own strength is strong enough, isn't it easy to collect tailed beasts? Then Obito asked again, how is Akatsuki doing now? Black Zetsu frowned and replied, Akatsuki's discovery didn't go well. Although it was said that Nagato and the others recruited a Bakuden, explosion-style, blood-stained boundary ninja from the land of Earth, Kakuzu and Sasori of the Red Sand died in Ghost Lantern City, and the gap has widened. Quote. Obito couldn't help frowning when he heard Black Zetsu's answer, have you found out who did the ghost town thing? Black Zetsu shook his head. Obito sighed helplessly and said, you're still watching over Akatsuki, let Nagato and the others expand as soon as possible. Black Zetsu also sighed, it's not that easy to find someone, and there are not many missing nins with great strength. It's alright, I can still wait, you continue to let White Zetsu monitor the 5 Great Ninja Village, and let me know if there is any important news. After Obito finished speaking, his body twisted into a Uzumaki and disappeared. Black Zetsu also dived underground and left. The 4th generation of Mizukage Yagura continues to play his role in the Mizukage office, which is really sad. The Land of Fire, Konoha Village. Lei Luo settled the matter of the Uchiha family, he began to prepare to resurrect Minato. But in order not to attract attention, he now has to find a way to leave the village reasonably. Or take the disciples out to practice. Or do you mean to travel by yourself? The ninja world is so big, I want to go see it. Lei Luo suddenly thought of a particularly good reason, just apply to Tsunade to go out to investigate information, investigate Akatsuki. Think of it and do it. Lei Luo immediately ran to the Hokage office. Lei Luo-kun, what's the matter with you coming to my place? Tsunade asked, looking at Lei Luo in front of him. Lei Luo replied, Master Tsunade, do you remember the mysterious organization member I met last time I went to Ghost Lantern City? Tsunade nodded and said, is that the S-class missing nin organization you're talking about? Lei Luo replied, yes, I recently found some hidden traces from the previous loot, I want to go out of the village to explore. Tsunade didn't think much of it after hearing the words. Lei Luo's strength was also worth believing, so Tsunade signed Lei Luo's order to leave the village. When Lei Lu got the order to leave the village, he had already accomplished his purpose, and immediately left. Back at the Lei Luo psychic beast shop, Lei Luo and Rin said hello, then packed up and prepared to leave. Walking out of the village and looking at the gate of Konoha, Lei Luo felt a sense of relief in his heart. This is the first time I have left the village without a mission. Before Lei Luo left the village, he had already set the destination of his trip, the Land of Snow. Lei Luo wanted to see what a country that snows all the year round would look like, and the country of snow is sparsely populated, so it is a suitable place to resurrect Minato. And if Lei Luo wants to go to the country of snow, he needs to pass through the country of grass, the country of bears, the country of earth and other countries to reach it, which just satisfies Lei Luo's idea of visiting the ninja world. And the country of the bear is also a country that Lei Luo is very interested in. The country of the bear is densely forested, and there is a hell valley full of poisonous gas and natural danger, and it also has its own ninja village, Star Ninja Village. It is said that there is a meteorite in the village, which fell 200 years ago, so the village is called Star Ninja Village, with a 5-pointed star as a forehead symbol. The ninjas in the village will practice around the meteorite, because the meteorite is radioactive and reacts to chakra. Star ninjas are good at Anquat, peacock magic and Quat, which can turn chakra into various shapes to attack and even fly. So Lei Luo really wanted to see what happened to that meteorite. Just as Lei Luo was standing in front of Konoha's gate, thinking about it, the system's prompt sound woke him up. Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering the mission and traveling through the world of ninjas. Traveling the ninja world. The ninja world is so big, you should go and see it. Please sign in 5 different countries of the ninja world. Task reward. God level lottery point *1. Lei Luo is also very happy to see this new task, which should be his easiest task. But if you want to sign in 5 countries, Lei Luo asked the system in his mind, "System, does the country of fire count?" The system replied, "Any country in the ninja world counts as a mission target." Lei Luo instantly understood the meaning of the system, and immediately clicked the new sign-in button on the task panel in his mind. Ding! The country of fire successfully signed in. Mission progress. 1/5. Lei Luo listened to the prompt of successful sign-in, smiled, strode away, and started his own journey to the ninja world. Chapter 135 Country of Bears. Enter the Star Ninja Village. Since he was traveling in the world of ninja, Lei Luo did not rush on the road, but stopped and walked along the way, entering every city and experiencing the local customs. Ding! Country of Grass has successfully signed in. Mission progress. 2/5. Lei Luo traversed the entire country of Grass, pressed the sign-in button on the border, and then stepped into the land of the country of Soil. After entering the land of Soil, Lei Luo did not go deep, but continued to move forward along the border town, and came to the border between the two countries. Ding! The land of the earth has successfully signed in. Mission progress. 3/5. Then Lei Luo entered the land of bears, one of the original purposes of this trip. Some people say that the meteorite in Star Ninja Village is part of the 10 tails shell that fell from the moon, while others say that the meteorite is actually just an ordinary meteorite, but its radiation is just enough to trigger chakra. Lei Luo is ready to experience it for himself to see what it is. Lei Luo walked all the way in the mountains and forests, and soon came to a valley. Looking at the miasma in the valley, Lei Luo knew that he should have found the right place. This valley is full of miasma, so it is called Hell Valley by Star Ninja Village, and it has also become a natural danger to protect Star Ninja Village. As long as you pass through this valley, you can enter the Star Ninja Village. The ninjas in the Star Ninja Village have mastered the peacock technique and can fly through the Valley of Hell, but ordinary ninjas can't fly. But this is not a problem for Lei Luo. There are many ways for Lei Luo to enter the Star Ninja Village. If he wants to fly over, he can rely on Hirenmaru. Even if he passes through directly, there is no problem with his medical ninjutsu level. But Lei Luo's purpose is just to see the stars of the Star Ninja Village, not to attack the Star Ninja Village. It is better to sneak in at night. So Lei Luo turned around and left temporarily, and found a water source to temporarily stay there. Anyway, there is nothing to do now, and Lei Luo signed it. Ding! The country of the bear has successfully signed in. Mission progress. 4/5. Then Lei Luo fell to the ground and began to practice blade meditation. Now that his strength is very strong, in order to be able to better control the strength of his body, he should improve his spiritual strength and achieve a balance. In this way, the sky gradually darkened. Lei Luo took advantage of the night to easily touch the Star Ninja Village. Lei Luo turned on his 5-vision omnipotence to observe everything around him, and found that there were not many residents in the Star Ninja Village. It is estimated that the entire village is not 1/10 the size of Konoha. Within the range of Lei Luo's 5-vision omnipotent observation, it was found that the ninjas of the Star Ninja Village gathered in one place in the village, which is estimated to be the location of the star of the Star Ninja Village. Lei Luo touched it, stood on the roof and watched the Xing ninjas who were practicing chakra below, and also saw the stars surrounded by the crowd. Moreover, Lei Luo also felt a gravitational force from the stars, even he felt that the chakra in his body fluctuated. Is this a star? It doesn't seem to be anything special. Lei Luo carefully looked at the star below. At this moment, a burst of thoughts came from Godzilla in Lei Luo's body. Devour, devour, devour. This makes Lei Luo very helpless. With so many people below, he can't go down without a reason, and then grab the star and run away. There must be a suitable opportunity. So Lei Luo could only appease the restless Godzilla. At this moment, one of the Shinran who was cultivating seemed to have a sudden illness. He fell to the ground trembling all over, gasping for breath and roaring in a low voice. His state was terrifying. Seeing this scene, Lei Luo understood that this should be a side effect caused by the star. Xingjin's body could not withstand the radiation of the star, and it would definitely cause lesions. If this was in Lei Luo's previous life, as long as he was a kindergartner, he should have known to stay away from radiation sources, and knew that radiation was very harmful to the body. Only in the ninja world, ignorant people will think about gaining power by radiation. Did they think they are in the Marvel world, still waiting to mutate? But in fact, it is understandable when you think about it. The ninja world is full of dangers and wars. It is difficult for people without strength to survive. The Star Ninja Village has no blood and no boundaries, and there is no powerful ninjutsu. It can only develop some secret techniques of its own by relying on meteorites that fall from the sky, but it also suffers great side effects. There is no way. But Lei Luo looked at the scene in front of him and suddenly remembered one thing. He remembered that the 3 generations of Xingying in the Star Ninja Village in the original book saw the ninjas who kept dying because of the results of training with stars. They should have sealed the star seal. Right. Is it now the 4th generation of Star Shadow? Lei Luo does not know. After all, the Kingdom of Bears is a closed-off country like the Kingdom of Water, and the Star Ninja Village is a very weak village. Even their stars have great side effects, so they have been ignored. People, I don't know much about the situation in the village. At this moment, Lei Luo sensed that in the room behind the square, a ninja entered, and there was an old man in that room. According to Lei Luo's guess, the old man should be Xingying of Star Ninja Village, but Lei Luo has no influence on who the female ninja is. Lei Luo came to the Xingying room in a flash and wanted to see what they were talking about. Lei Luo looked at the female ninja below and pleaded bitterly to Xingying. Lord Xingying, we can't go on like this anymore. Now there are fewer and fewer people in the village, and even just now Yingwo Mars couldn't hold on. The sequelae struck. Xingying sighed and said, Summer Star, I don't want anyone to die in the village, but we must need ninjas to protect the village. Lei Luo heard Xingying's name for ninja, and thought of the identity of this ninja. In the original book, when Naruto and Neji were on a mission in the Star Ninja Village, the boy they met, named Smale, was the most powerful among their peers in the Star Ninja Village. And Sha Xing is Smile's mother. When she appeared in the original book, she was considered to be a good Jonin. Then Lei Luo heard Sha Xing say again, Master Xingying, now the war is over. I think we should stop. Now most of the people in the village are not dying because of the war, but because of Xing. If it goes on like this, we don't need to be attacked by others, and our Star Ninja Village will perish by itself. Xingying lowered her head and pondered for a long time, then said, Sha Xing, you go back first, I will consider this matter carefully. Sha Xing heard Xingying's words, did not say anything else, and left. Just when Lei Luo was about to leave, he suddenly heard Xingying below speak. Are the guests above planning to leave like this? Chapter 136_Star Shadow's Decision. Star in hand. When Lei Luo heard Xingying's words, she knew that she had been exposed. But since Xingying didn't call anyone over, it means that there should be something to tell him. And in terms of Lei Luo's strength, even if Xingying makes a shot, he is not Lei Luo's opponent at all. After all, Xingying's shadow is only self-proclaimed, and its strength can be regarded as an elite Jonin. Thinking of this, Lei Luo directly turned over and entered the room. Xingying looked at Lei Luo and said with a smile, This guest please take a seat. Lei Luo was docile, sat in front of Xingying, and asked, I don't know what happened to Lord Xingying. Xingying said, The guests must have heard my conversation with Sha Xing just now. The reason why the guests came to my Star Ninja Village is only because of the stars. Were you a little disappointed to hear our conversation just now? Lei Luo shook his head gently and replied, I came to Xing Ninja Village just out of curiosity. I have heard about Xing's adverse reactions, and I have nothing to be disappointed about. After listening to Lei Luo's words, Xingying's expression did not change at all, but continued to ask, I have a presumptuous feeling here, I don't know if I should mention it or not. Since you know it's presumptuous, don't mention it. Lei Luo complained in his heart, he didn't show it. Instead, he said with a smile, Master Xingying, you can talk about what it is first, but I don't know if I can help. Xingying nodded and said, I want the guests to do me a favor and bring Xingxing away from the Star Ninja Village. Lei Luo was a little speechless when he heard Xingying's words, and said, Master Xingying, you are not joking. Xingying shook his head and said, I'm not kidding, you heard it just now, because of Xing's cultivation, many of us have already died because of this. I don't want to let this situation continue. However, there are still a large number of people in the village who want to continue to rely on the stars to cultivate. If I want to stop it forcefully, there will definitely be unrest in the village, which I don't want to see. Lei Luo heard the words. He asked, Lord Xingying, you can take the star away from the Star Ninja Village by yourself, why do you have to rely on me to do it? Xingying smiled when she heard the words, but the smile was full of bitterness. As of now, I can't hide it from the guests. I can already feel that my time is running out. My strength is also cultivated by the stars. Although I have gained some strength, my body is still in a bad state. And if I take the stars away from the village, someone will definitely find out. Nor is it convenient for me to leave the village. But I can feel that your strength is much stronger than mine. You can take the star away. No matter how you deal with it, it is up to you. I will help you transfer the surrounding ninjas away. When Lei Luo heard Xingying's words, he had already made up his mind. Originally, the star was what he wanted, and Godzilla in the body also changed because of this. Now that Xingying is willing to hand over the star by himself, it would be better. And he also knew that Xingying's decision was definitely not as simple as what he said. Xingying must be able to guess that Lei Luo's purpose is Xing, because this is the only thing in Xingying Ninja Village that is relatively precious. At the same time, Xingying also knew that her strength could not stop Lei Luo, and she didn't want to let the village suffer any more casualties. It would be better to hand over the star to Lei Luo happily, it would kill two birds with one stone. For Lei Luo, as long as he can get stars, Lei Luo doesn't care about other things. So Lei Luo opened his mouth and said to Xingying, I agree with what you said, but since I want to take Xing away, I have to do something like it. It is not necessary to transfer the Xingren, I can just take it away. Quote. After speaking, Lei Luo got up and prepared to leave. Just as Lei Luo was about to walk out of the room, Xingying said, Please be merciful to the guests. Lei Luo paused, nodded, and walked out. With Lei Luo's current speed, no one among the star ninjas can stop him even if he doesn't use the light escape. Lei Luo came to the square where the stars were stored again, looked at the star ninjas who were still immersed in their cultivation, and took the stars away in a flash. The moment he caught the star, Lei Luo felt a burning sensation from his hand, and his body couldn't help but froze, but Lei Luo immediately adjusted and left. After Lei Luo left, the cultivating star ninjas didn't notice it for a while. It wasn't until a few minutes later that someone noticed that something was wrong and stopped cultivating to find that the star had disappeared. Not good. Someone stole the star. Follow. But by this time Lei Luo had already left, leaving no trace. As for how to deal with the riots in the village, that is Xingying's own business. 2 days later, Lei Luo has come to the northern border of the Bear Country, where the climate is obviously much colder than that in the south. But as far as Lei Luo's strength is concerned, it can already be regarded as invincible in cold and heat, without any impact. Lei Luo didn't move on, but found a place to settle down and began to study this star. In the past 2 days, Godzilla felt the breath of the stars and was always restless. Now that Lei Luo stopped, Godzilla conveyed a feeling of impatient waiting to Lei Luo. Don't worry, I'll study it first, and I'll let you absorb it after the study. Lei Luo conveyed the idea to Godzilla, but Godzilla still only knew how to eat. Lei Luo ignored him and focused on the stars instead. To do research, you must have a research attitude. The first is to take some samples first. Lei Luo's right hand was empty, and Hirinmaru appeared in his hand, then raised his hand and cut a small piece from the star. Lei Luo felt it with chakra and found that the same radiation also exists in this small piece, but the radiation is much weaker. It seems that the surface of the entire star is the same material, so let's see if there is any difference in the core. Then Lei Luo was about to cut the star directly from the middle, but when he cut it down, he suddenly found that he didn't cut it with a single knife, but was stopped by something. It seems that there is indeed something in the core of the star. So Lei Luo groped and cut out the core, and upon closer inspection it turned out to be a seed. What the hell? Holding the seed in his hand, the chakra in his body suddenly flowed into the seed uncontrollably. Just when the chakra in Lei Luo's body was about to be absorbed, the seed finally stopped, and a little green sprout grew. Sprouts. Looking at this seed, an idea suddenly appeared in Lei Luo's mind. Isn't this the seed of the divine tree? Chapter 137 _ Enter the Snow Country. But Lei Luo has never seen what the seed of the god tree looks like, and there is no way to know for sure. But this seed can absorb chakra, it is definitely not simple. Moreover, Lei Luo vaguely remembers that after the end of Hokage in the previous life, there seems to be a sequel called Bo Ren Zhuan, which is about the generation of Naruto's son. There is also a 10 tails in the hands of Szan, the leader of the Shell organization. Maybe this is the seed of Szan's 10 tails tree. Now that the star has been dissected by Lei Luo used his mind to contact Godzilla to let him devour the fragments of the star. Instead, Godzilla passed on a disgusting idea to Lei Luo. It seems that Godzilla wants to devour the energy of this seed, but the fragments of this star are also good materials for forging knives. So Lei Luo took out a sealing scroll and sealed the fragments of the star together with the sprouted seeds. Okay, let's go to the snow country tomorrow. The land of bears is not far from the land of snow. For Lei Luo, it only took 3 days to travel from the northern border of the land of bears to the border of the land of snow. As soon as you enter the border of the snow country, you will feel the unique scenery. In Lei Luo's memory, the snow country not only has its own exclusive country, ninjas, but also has developed heavy industry, especially in terms of chakra technology, which is basically higher than all other countries. And chakra technology has researched a lot of things that can be popularized and practical, such as chakra armor that can greatly enhance the chakra energy of Chunin and Jonin and can use A-level ninjutsu many times. Large-scale phantom projectors, actually environmental unfinished work of the retrofit machine. In addition, the snow country has also laid railways in the country, connecting various cities in the country. Let's go to the border cities first, and then take the train to the capital of the snow country. I haven't taken a train since I came to Hokage World. I don't know how different the trains in Hokage World are. Lei Luo has already arranged the itinerary for himself. After coming out of the snow country capital, find a place off the beaten track to prepare to resurrect Minato. It's been a while since you came out. Soon after, Lei Luo turned into an ordinary person and got on the train in the snow country. Lei Luo looked at the snow country train and found that it was still very characteristic of the ninja world. Although the train was still powered by steam, the outer shell of the train was actually equipped with a kunai burster. Prevent wandering ninjas, bandits, missing nin and the like from robbing passengers on the train. And the speed of this train is quite fast. It didn't take long for Lei Luo to go deep from the small border town to the capital in the hinterland of the snow country. After getting off the train, Lei Luo pressed the sign-in button in his mind. Ding! Snow country successfully signed in. Mission progress. 5/5. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the task, traveling to the ninja world and successfully signing in 5 countries. Get the task reward. God level lottery point *1. Ah, what an easy and comfortable task. Lei Luo couldn't help sighing in his heart. Walking in the capital of the snow country, Lei Luo wandered around and inquired about the current situation of the snow country. Now the name of the snow country is Kazuhana Fury. It seems that Kazuhana Koyuki has escaped from the snow country, incarnated as Fuji Kze, and became an actress. Hey, there's even a Wen Izumi store here. Lei Luo looked at the sign of Wen Izumi's store on the corner, a little surprised. But Lei Luo suddenly understood that although the snow country has snow all the year round, it has very rich geothermal resources. The former name of snow country, Kazahana Zhaoshui, also known as Kazahana Koyuki's father, developed a geothermal generator based on the geothermal resources of snow country. As long as the geothermal generator is turned on, it can change the environment of the entire snow country and turn it into a spring country. The key to the geothermal generator is the necklace of Kazahana Koyuki, the princess of the snow country. And in order to manufacture this geothermal generator, Kazahana Zhaoshui consumed most of the domestic resources and financial resources. But Kazahana Fury didn't know it. He thought his brother hid it all. Kazahana Koyuki's necklace was the key to the treasure house. So in the original book he has been sending people to search and capture Kazahana Koyuki. But these have nothing to do with Lei Luo. One is not good, and the other is no task. Thirdly, Lei Luo looked at the status quo of the snow country, and he did not imagine that the people would be in a state of misery. Although Kazahana is an ambitious person, he is also a qualified name. Lei Luo gathered his wandering thoughts, came back to his senses, pushed open the door of Wen Izumi's store and walked in. Welcome. Give me a private soup room. Okay, please come with me. Lei Luo soaked in the private soup, Wen Izumi, and let himself go, feeling that the exhaustion from this journey was swept away. The system task has also been completed, and a prize can be drawn again. System, I want to draw a lottery. The system ***** flew out, and the 6 prizes were S-level skills, Supreme Dragon Chef Skill Book. S-class item, Phantom Treasure Box. S-class weapon, Water Silver Scimitar. S-class elixir, Dove Feather Chenny. S-class pet, Pokemon * Cerulean. S-class gear, Miguile, S Crucible. Lei Luo looked at the system's prizes a little puzzled. The system's prizes now seem to be more and more diversified. For example, the Supreme Dragon Chef Skill Book. After using it, you can get all the experience and abilities of a Supreme Dragon Chef, but Lei Luo doesn't want to be a chef. The Magic Sound Treasure Box, from the world of Mingyu in Qin Dynasty, is a peerless treasure of the Yin and Yang family. In the original work, it appears in the dragon throat in the Forbidden City of the city for no reason, and it can play countless music. These music are both fantasy and real, and have a terrible and dangerous power. Those who are destined to hear it will improve their skills, and those who are not heard may fall into confusion thinking even crazy. The Silver Scimitar and Miguire's Crucible are both from the League of Legends world, and the skills that come with them are somewhat similar. The Silver Scimitar can remove all control of itself, while the Crucible can remove the control of teammates, etc. Negative effects. Juyu Chenny also came from the Mingyu world of Qin Dynasty, and this is a very special and powerful poison. It has been refined after 1,000 dark nights. During this period, no sunlight can be seen, or all previous efforts will be lost. The venom dissolves in the water, and the medicinal properties will never attack without exposure to sunlight. Known as, the day is right, the city is slaughtered. Pokemon * Cerulean, from the world of Pokemon, looks like a dancer in white, has green hair with Yuhi-colored spikes arranged like hair accessories, a white skirt and a special hairstyle, and the ability is also very powerful, with various superpowers such as psychic power. For Lei Luo, none of these prizes mattered much. Epsilon equals Omicron, oh, forget it, anything will do, the system will start the lottery. Ding, congratulations to the host. Chapter 138 _ Little episode. Ding, congratulations to the host for getting an S-class pet, Pokemon * Cerulean. Lei Luo didn't feel anything special when he saw the prizes he had drawn. A Pokeball with a pink Yuhi diamond appeared in Lei Luo's system space. But Lei Luo had no idea of taking it out. Cerulean will give it to Yuhi after he goes back. Yuhi is relatively average in other aspects except demonic illusion. I am just curious that Rulian can enhance Yuhi's strength and make up for her shortcomings. There is no special scenery in the snow country. After a day of shopping today, Lei Luo has already had enough. Let's revive Minato tomorrow. Today's snow country in the country of snow is much heavier than yesterday. For ordinary people, in this weather, they should stay at home, make hot tea and stay well. But Lei Luo didn't change his plan. He left the city early and walked into the snow without hesitation. Lei Luo walked in the wind and snow for a long time, far away from the city of the country of snow, and it is impossible for ordinary people to live in the surrounding environment. And after walking for so long, it has always been a vast expanse of white, which almost made Lei Luo suffer from snow blindness. Lei Luo used all 5 visions, glanced around the neighborhood, and finally found a cave that he could temporarily shelter in. Boom! Lei Luo took out a seal scroll, untied the seal, and took out food, water and other supplies. It's still a ninja. Bringing a seal scroll can save so many things. If there is a Mokuden wood style, it will be even bigger in the world, and you can make a home anywhere. Lei Luo's chakra swirled slightly, and the water in his hand boiled. Drinking hot water and watching the snow outside is a different kind of enjoyment. Let's take a break here tonight and start resurrecting Minato tomorrow. Lei Luo is fully prepared to resurrect the Minatos. Reviving Minato requires all the conditions of the master, and Lei Luo is also sure. Ceiling, Master. Ghoul's Band, Master. Grim Reaper Mask, Master. A weapon that can break the belly of death, Master. Resurrection ability, Master. A lonely place, achieved. This resurrection of Minato will surely succeed. Some people may ask, when did Lei Luo take control of the weapon that broke the belly of death? Very simple, of course it is Higher-Inmaru. Higher-Inmaru itself is a weapon transformed by the soul, and its abilities can naturally target the god of death. Now, as long as Lei Luo adjusts his breath and restores his state, he can start to revive Minato. But at this moment, Lei Luo suddenly noticed that there were other people nearby. A group of 3 people, judging from the forehead guards on their heads, should be ninjas from Snow Ninja Village. What the hell? How could anyone come to such a remote place? What are these snow ninjas doing here? Lei Luo was very puzzled. But as long as they don't provoke Lei Luo won't bother them either. However, things are always like this, the more you don't want something, but what happens? Under Lei Luo's omnipotent observation, the group of people was getting closer and closer to the cave where Lei Luo was staying. Soon, Lei Luo could already hear clear voices coming from outside the cave. Captain, it's here. I remember that there is a cave here. Let's go and rest for a while. A young man's voice came, with a hint of joy in his voice. Well, yes, this ghost weather is really getting harder and harder, let's go in. A clearly mature voice replied, exactly what the young man called the captain. The other ninja in the 3-person team did not speak. Then Lei Luo watched the 3 of them walk in. The 3 Shui ninjas who entered the cave were surprised to see that there were people in the cave. Who are you? Captain Shui Ren looked at Lei Luo and asked. Lei Luo took a sip of hot water and said, just a traveler passing by. To Lei Luo, these 3 Shui Ren are just little scoundrels, and there is no need to care about them. Captain Shui Ren hadn't spoken yet, but the young Shui Ren next to him couldn't help it. What's your attitude? How did you talk to our captain? Lei Luo's expression remained unchanged, and he replied indifferently, I have always had this attitude. He is your captain, not mine. What kind of attitude do you want from me? Young Shui Ren is obviously a violent temper, and he is probably a genius of Shui Ren village. He is obviously a little arrogant, and is instantly angered by Lei Luo's words. Humph. Damn guy, seeing that our Shui Ren dares to be so arrogant, you probably don't know how to write the word, dead. Lei Luo replied, I don't think I'm arrogant. I came to this cave first, but you kept blabbering. Young Shuiren felt that he couldn't say enough about Lei Luo. Since he couldn't say it, let's do it. So the young snow ninja directly hand seal. Hyoten, ice style. Swallow blows snow. Young Shuiren opened his mouth to spit, and in an instant, hundreds of ice darts attacked Lei Luo. Light escape. Resist the halo. With the flash of light on Lei Luo, those ice darts melted into water before they could fly in front of Lei Luo. But young Shuiren was obviously not going to let Lei Luo go, not only because of his grudge, but also to avoid exposing himself. This kind of weather will still appear here, and there must be a task to complete. I saw the young Shuiren turned his head and said to Captain Shuiren, "Captain, this guy has some strength. Let's take action to solve him together. Our mission this time cannot be exposed. And this guy appears here, sneaking, and it must be disadvantageous to our country of snow." Captain Shuiren nodded, and then said to another person in the team, "Let's take action together and solve him." Lei Luo looked at the three people who were talking to him without anyone else in front of him, and seemed very speechless. "You're not taking me too seriously." Humph. Die. The three of Shuiren attacked Lei Luo together. The place in the cave was a bit narrow, and it was not suitable for releasing powerful ninjutsu, and they didn't want to destroy a place to rest in this weather. So they used physical techniques to attack Lei Luo, thinking that it would not be easy to take down a Lei Luo with the strength of the three of them. But playing physique in front of Lei Luo, it can really be called an axe. Lei Luo didn't even want to play with them. Hirenmaru appeared in his hand instantly, and Lei Luo's attack was easily blocked by Shuiren and the three. Then I saw a flash of light in the cave. Lei Luo seemed to be standing still, but the three Shuiren inexplicably fell down. Boom! The bodies of the three of Shuiren fell to the ground, and the wound on the neck began to seep blood. It turned out that Lei Luo had cut the throats of the three in an instant. Lei Luo bent down, grabbed the bodies of Shui ninja on the ground, and threw them out one by one, and they were soon buried under the heavy snow. In Lei Luo's eyes, this is just a small episode. Chapter 139 Minato Resurrection. In the early morning of the next day, Lei Luo found that the heavy snow had stopped outside. This was a rare good weather for the snow country. And yesterday, the bodies of the three snow ninjas were also buried deep in the snow without a trace. Lei Luo has now adjusted to his best condition and can start resurrecting Minato. Immediately afterwards, Lei Luo took out a seal scroll from his body, which contained the required death mask. Seal. Release. The sealed scroll was opened by Lei Luo and took out the death mask. Then Lei Luo put the death mask on his face without hesitation. The next step is to seal the ghouls. Si, Hai, Wei, Mao, Shu, Zi, Yu, Wu, Si. Ghost Band. Lei Luo flipped the hand seal with his fingers and successfully released the ghoul seal. Immediately behind Lei Luo, a huge god of death appeared behind Lei Luo, with two horns on his head, holding a rosary, and a sword in his mouth. Then Death's gaze was fixed on Lei Luo, because it didn't find a target to deal with. But the next moment, Lei Luo shot. Lei Luo's right hand was empty, and Hirenmaru appeared in his hand. Bankai. Dai Yuhiren Hirenmaru. With Lei Luo's manipulation, Hirenmaru directly entered the Bankai state. A pair of huge frost wings unfolded behind Lei Luo, while 12 ice lotus flowers were floating around the frost wings. Wings of frost fluttered and flew with Lei Luo. Light escape. Judgment. A holy light flowed out from Lei Luo's hand and covered the entire great Yuhi lotus Hirenmaru. Then Lei Luo appeared in front of the god of death in a flash, and slashed directly at the god of death with a knife. Grim Reaper looked at Lei Luo who was rushing towards him, a trace of mockery and disdain flashed in his eyes. But at the next moment, the face of Death God changed instantly, turning into anger. Because Lei Luo's knife directly ripped open his abdomen, making him feel a feeling he had never felt before. That is pain. And just when Lei Luo broke the belly of the god of death, Minato's soul flashed out instantly. Lei Luo-kun. Minato looked at Lei Luo, who was confronting death, in surprise. Lei Luo smiled at Minato. "Fourth generation, you have enough time to rest. Naruto is about to go to Jonin school, you should come back." Then Lei Luo raised his hand, and a light beyond words enveloped Minato. Light of awakening. Minato, who was shrouded in light, gradually solidified his body, and he was successfully resurrected. Minato felt his body in disbelief and said, "Lei Luo-kun, this. What the hell is going on?" Lei Luo was relieved to see Minato, who was successfully resurrected, and then said, "Minato-kun, what do you want to ask? I'll talk about it later. Now I'll send this god of death back to the Pure Land." The ghouls are sealed, release. The god of death reluctantly attacked Lei Luo, trying to pull out Lei Luo's soul, but it did not cause any damage to Lei Luo. After all, Lei Luo's soul was already bound to the system, and it was impossible for him to be pulled out by the god of death. After Lei Luo's contact with the ghouls was sealed, the god of death could only disappear reluctantly and return to the Pure Land. But both Lei Luo and Minato could feel the unwilling roar of the god of death. Lei Luo finally relaxed when he saw the god of death disappear. "Minato-kun, long time no see." Namikaze Minato came back to his senses when he heard Lei Luo's greeting. Although he was a little shocked by the scene just now, he still knew clearly that Lei Luo had successfully resurrected himself. Because of the blood flowing in the body, the strong heartbeat, and this real touch, it undoubtedly shows that he is really resurrected. "Lei Luo-kun, thank you so much. Thank you so much for resurrecting me." Namikaze Minato's voice couldn't help but tremble. Lei Luo smiled and looked at Minato and replied, "Minato-kun, there's no need to be too polite. After all, Naruto is just like my son. And Minato-kun, you have to be clear about one thing." Namikaze Minato quickly calmed down and replied, "Lei Luo-kun, if you have anything, please tell me." Lei Luo then said, "Minato-kun, although you are resurrected now, you cannot reveal the news of your resurrection. Even if you go back to the village to see Naruto, you have to transform and hide your identity. Should you remember the enemy who appeared when Kushina was giving birth?" Namikaze Minato's expression became serious when he heard Lei Luo's words, and nodded slightly. He already understood what Lei Luo meant. The enemy was still in the dark, and he should also hide. And he still remembers the situation of that guy clearly. He will definitely bring blood and blood to the ninja world. Lei Luo then said, "For so many years, I searched around and found that the person should be from a certain organization." Although Lei Luo knew that the masked man at the time should be Obito, he couldn't be sure. After all, anything could happen. And he can't tell the source of his intelligence, so it's best for Namikaze Minato to investigate it himself. So he continued, "After my investigation, the most likely organization has two goals." Namikaze Minato nodded and replied, "Lei Luo-kun, please speak." Lei Luo replied, "The first organization is called Akatsuki, and the people in this organization all wear the same style of Yuhi-yun with a black background, and the members of this organization I met are all S-rank missing nin from various villages. The second organization is called the Shell Organization, but I just know that this organization exists, but I don't have any intelligence." Lei Luo said to Namikaze Minato was after careful consideration. Akatsuki runs through the entire Hokage ninja Hayate biography, and Obito is behind Akatsuki. The Shell Organization is an organization that was only exposed in the new Hokage ninja blog. Lei Luo doesn't know if they exist now, but there is no loss for Minato to check it by the way. Namikaze Minato nodded after listening to Lei Luo's words, and replied, "Don't worry, Lei Luo-kun, I will investigate this matter, and they don't know that I have been resurrected. This is my advantage. But I want to go back to the village first. I want to see Naruto." Lei Luo smiled and replied, "Of course it's fine, Naruto lives with me now, Rin is taking care of him, and he has started to learn to refine chakra now." When Namikaze Minato heard Lei Luo's words, a smile appeared on his face unconsciously. Oh, yes. Lei Luo suddenly thought of something. Minato-kun, I want to ask, where are you and Kushina's bodies? Namikaze Minato shook his head and replied, after I used the ghoul to seal the QB, Nine Tails, I lost my awareness of the outside world, and I don't know what happened. Where will the bodies of Minato and Kushina be? Lei Luo thought to himself, because he was sure that the bodies of Minato and Kushina were definitely not in Konoha. Namikaze Minato looked at the thoughtful Lei Luo and asked, Lei Luo-kun, what's wrong? If the download has insufficient points or fails, go back and download again. Chapter 140 Back to the Country of Grass. Uzumaki Karen. Lei Luo recovered from Namikaze Minato's question and replied, Minato-kun, nothing, I was thinking about resurrecting Kushina just now. Namikaze Minato was instantly excited when he heard Lei Luo's words. Lei Luo-kun, can you resurrect Kushina? Lei Luo replied, I can't revive Kushina right now, it will take 3 years at the fastest, and 2 conditions must be fulfilled to revive Kushina. Because the cooldown of Lei Luo's awakening light is as long as 3 years, these 3 years must be waited for. Namikaze Minato heard the words and asked, what conditions are needed? Lei Luo replied, the first condition is that you must find Kushina's body, and at least some of Kushina's cells must be present. The second condition is that there must be a forbidden technique, Master Impure World Reincarnation, between you and me. Namikaze Minato asked, Impure World Reincarnation is the forbidden technique developed by the second-generation Hokage-sama that can recall the dead from the underworld. That's right. Lei Luo nodded and replied, the reason why I said I needed Kushina's corpse or cells was because of this forbidden technique, and only by calling back Kushina's soul from the Pure Land, I can revive her. Namikaze Minato said in a deep voice, leave this matter to me. I should have done these things in the first place. This is my responsibility. Thank you so much for taking care of Naruto over the years and trying to revive me and Kushina. Lei Luo waved his hand, there is no need to say such words. Now that you have been successfully resurrected, we can go back to Konoha now. Namikaze Minato nodded and didn't say anything more, but he would definitely remember Lei Luo's kindness in his heart. 2 months passed quickly, both Lei Luo and Namikaze Minato were very fast, and now they have come to the country of grass again, which is the last stop before Konoha. Lei Luo came out of Konoha before, he didn't stay in the country of grass, he just walked right through, but now Lei Luo suddenly remembered something. Uzumaki Karen. Uzumaki Karen at this time should be in the country of grass. Lei Luo thought to himself. Lei Luo remembers that when Uzumaki Karen first appeared in the original book, he took the Chunin exam as a ninja of the country of grass. And Uzumaki Karen's memories in the original book also mentioned that when she was a child, she and her mother were in the country of grass, like a medical kit, healing the wounded ninja of the country of grass, all of which were bitten by people. Uzumaki Karen's mother even died as a result. Thinking of these things, Lei Luo wandered around the grass ninja village, and turned on the 5 visions to observe everything in the grass ninja village to see if he could find Uzumaki Karen. Unconsciously, Lei Luo walked to the vicinity of Sao Ninja Hospital. The Kusanagi Hospital was busy everywhere, and the injured ninjas were sitting on the ground casually, which was completely different from the Konoha Hospital. However, Lei Luo is completely understandable. After all, the country of grass is weak, and there are not many medical ninjas in the country, so they can basically only heal some simple injuries. Over there, send more chakras. Forget it, there's no way to save it, go and save the one next door. Don't linger, come here. The medicine can save you. Fine, go on. The sound inside the Grass Ninja Hospital is noisy, like a vegetable market. And Lei Luo also successfully discovered the target of his trip, Uzumaki Karen. The current Uzumaki Karen is only a child who is only about 6 or 7 years old. Her bright Yuhi-colored long hair shows her identity, and she has already put on a pair of brown glasses on her face at a young age. Under Lei Luo's observation, Uzumaki Karen is now being held by a sturdy grasp to restrain his arm, and then bite down. Ah! The pain in his arm made Uzumaki Karen couldn't help exclaiming. The next one is here, come here. Waste, even this little wound can't be cured. Like a marionette, Uzumaki Karen was dragged around the wards by a doctor. He was bitten and wounded everywhere, and was scolded as a waste. Lei Luo's anger continued to build up. Although Lei Luo has been in the ninja world for so many years, he knows that he should do whatever he can to deal with the enemy, but Uzumaki Karen can be regarded as his own person in the Grass Ninja Village now, and he was treated like this. These guys in Grass Ninja Village are a bunch of scum, Lei Luo said while biting Kiba in his heart. Then Lei Luo watched as Uzumaki Karen walked out of the back door of Kusanagi Hospital, squatted down against the wall, buried his head on his knees, and seemed to be sobbing constantly. Lei Luo sighed and walked over. Little girl, how are you? Lei Luo asked Uzumaki Karen. But Uzumaki Karen heard Lei Luo's voice, but it was as if he had been needled. He stood up abruptly, wiped away his tears, and replied, I'm fine. Ninja-sama, do you want to heal? Then Uzumaki Karen stretched her arm towards Lei Luo. Looking at the arm that stopped in front of him, and the remaining Kiba mark on it, Lei Luo felt a burst of grief in his heart, and he couldn't bear it. Light escape, light therapy. Lei Luo reached out and grabbed Uzumaki Karen's arm. Uzumaki Karen closed his eyes in fear, thinking that Lei Luo was going to bite her, but there was no imagined pain, but a very warm and comfortable feeling. Uzumaki Karen couldn't help but opened her eyes, only to find that all the Kiba marks on her arm had disappeared. Only then did she realize that the man in front of her was not trying to heal her, but to help her heal. Lei Luo said gently, Little girl, are you feeling better now? Listening to Lei Luo's gentle tone, Uzumaki Karen warmed his heart and couldn't help shedding tears. Thank you, Ninja-sama. Looking at Uzumaki Karen crying in front of him, Lei Luo felt that he should take her out of here. Such a small child should not suffer so much. But Lei Luo first had to find out about Uzumaki Karen's current situation, so Lei Luo then asked, Little girl, can you tell me your name? What about your family? Why are you here? Hearing Lei Luo's question, Uzumaki Karen wiped his tears, raised his head and said, My name is Uzumaki Karen, my family is gone, and my mother died not long ago, because she was exhausted from helping them heal their injuries. Quote. Hearing Uzumaki Karen's words, Lei Luo sighed in her heart. If she had thought of Uzumaki Karen when she came to the country of grass, her mother might not have died. It can only be said that this is life, but the fate of Uzumaki Karen, he is bound to change. He can no longer watch Uzumaki Karen stay here and suffer. Lei Luo reached out and touched Uzumaki Karen's head and said, Uzumaki Karen, my name is Lei Luo, are you willing to follow me out of here?